in China, right? Well, okay, let's say that is true. Let's say that's 100% true. Point is, he still ate meat. He still ate the flesh. So it's a meat disease. So that proves that you're not supposed to eat meat. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's what that says to me. Like, well, shit. I mean, well, that makes sense because you're not supposed to be eating bats or eating birds or eating shit that crawls, swims, flies, runs. So, that makes sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of ridiculous, and they're gonna make a gang of money off it. You can believe that. The government about to make a gang of money off this shit.
Oh yeah.
You can believe that. That's all. That's what, you know. They're gonna make medicines, masks, and shit.
I mean, like, so it's like where you at now, right? You they making you wear the mask, like when you go in places.
Don't you come in this store unless you have that mask on.
Is it like a bitch? Is it like that in Arizona?
In some places, yeah.
Damn, I can't.
Yeah, I was about to say the little mom and pop store, you can get away with it. Like at the Unimart, they don't really care if I walk in there without a mask.
Yeah,
we own that motherfucker.
Yeah, you know, as long as you're spending money, it's all that matters. But yo, that's what I'm saying though. Like it's crazy because where I'm at, right, the closest city is Fresno, and like I guess just because it's like broke and it's not that many cases, like they really haven't tripped on the mask yet. But I heard San Fran and LA is getting crazy. But I don't know. I guess you could speak to that, Maya, as far as LA. I don't know, man.
Yeah, people are taking the mask seriously. I went to a Jamba Juice in Long Beach, and someone went inside without a mask, and another customer was like freaking out about it, and they got in a whole fight. The guy was like, "I'll go get my AK right now," and it was just a big deal. So
I'll go get the AK right now in Long Beach, California.
You gotta love America, yo.
With that being said,
yeah. So I mean, like
the corona's really taking its toll.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yo, same thing. That's what I wanted to talk about though, as far as like, right. So for us, we seen like the shift, and we seen like we had another life before this. So imagine if you was like 5 years old now, or if you're younger or whatever, and then like, you know, if this is the trend as life goes on, like what kind of kids is that gonna make?
And shit like
yeah, like what kind of kids is that gonna make? Yeah, like what kind of, you know what I mean?
Like corny kids, man. Like, you know, kids is all looking crazy too, man. Getting no sunlight, they looking crazy. You know, it's a deep thing, man. And I be wondering, like, man, you know, what's it look like in other places? You know, like you know, what are they doing right now? And I bet you they ain't even fucking paying this no mind in Medellin.
It's a lot of places that don't.
I don't know though. I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know. I'd have to see it for myself.
I think they said like 4 billion people is locked down. I think that's what, you know what I mean. Like 4 billion out of the 7+ billion on Earth is like in lockdown. I seen the Brazilian president was like, "Look, man, look, you need to grow up." That's how he was acting.
You need to grow up, and something's gonna get you anyway. Get out there and put your big boy pants on.
Yeah, I guess he's just like, we dealing with real crimes. All right, like,
yeah.
I think that's kind of how that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I understand for the elderly and stuff like that. You know, it sucks, man. You know, but then sometimes there's a part of me that goes even further than that, and I say, is this all the shit that be written in the books? And it's out with the old and then with the new, and everybody's got to go, man. And everybody has, you know, every dog has its day, all these sayings, man. And you say, damn, yo, this is where all this shit comes from. Like this has happened, man, plenty of times, man. Like shit like this, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know,
nothing new under the sun.
Plenty of times, and I think it's almost like you have to kind of like look at yourself as like part of the system, I guess. You know, almost like a plant or some shit.
Yeah, people.
Because you know you grow and then you will, and then you know what I'm saying, and then it's just crazy. Like I'm like, wow, you got to make somehow space has to be made for the new shit.
Yeah. All right. So, what kind of creativity do you think this is going to create, and for both of y'all, what has it forced y'all to create? Because I know it's forcing a lot of people to be creative in other ways. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think is even going to create, or is it just going to make like less creativity if people be, you know, everybody get on like a universal basic income? Because that's what I'm hearing. You know, other countries is doing that. Like, it's every month you get a certain,
shit.
Basically, yeah. Every month you get a certain amount of money, and it's universal basic income. I mean, I feel like it's just a way for them to completely track things because it was already not many dollars in circulation, and then if they have control over all the dollars and they're getting digitally dispersed, and you know what I mean, it's kind of like in 10 years you're gonna know.
I think it's a mass audit.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I mean, they're figuring out what's going in, what's coming out. Because let's be honest, Maya, you know, Donald Trump, you know, he's getting tired. Not just him, you know, all the big dogs. They're getting tired, like I say, of riding through Beverly Hills and shit like that, all these places. And God damn it, I pull up at the light, and God damn it, who do I see on the left? My daughter with this fucking new rapper, dude. They got the Lamborghini with the top down. They bugging. Where is he getting all this fucking money? You know what I mean? And the truth is, he's getting it from shows, getting it from street niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Like that's how he's getting it. Like you know. And this is people all over the planet right now. You got people making movies and shit, hitting big, and you know, you got 17-year-olds getting millions off of just internet music and shit, and they can't track that shit because look what all this shut down. Entertainment is basically shut down.
I never
forced you to.
Yeah, I would have
put
never
your video
thought
on the gram like a dummy.
Yeah, I never would have thought that they would shut sports down like that.
The NBA is shut down. No strippers can strip. What about the bartenders and the motherfucking way? This is what powers America: entertainment, sex, drugs, and entertainment. Yeah. So
they got hold on.
Big portion down because them entertainers they were starting to get too big, man.
They got a drive-through strip club in Oregon right now.
And did some shit.
They got a drive-through strip club. There's a drive-through strip club in Oregon right now. People, to combat this. America takes no days off, B.
So I don't know how you feel, Maya, but I feel like it's a lot that got to do with that, man. It's just that ancient battle of good and evil, I guess, too. At the same time, on another, you know, I don't know.
How has it forced y'all to give money or interact or whatever? I know you mean it's like difficult to even talk about getting money now.
Proceed, Maya. You go. I've been talking.
What was the question?
Like with the clampdown and the cramping of creativity, like how do you see creativity flowing in the future, and how have you responded to it to where you like, you know, making moves in this society that's like this now?
Well, I feel like there is kind of a buildup. Like for the last couple of years, people have been utilizing the internet for their income for a while, and I think right now, just because of all their free time, it makes people. It's easier to just do it now because you can, and you don't have the excuse of time or other obligations. That doesn't mean everything that's being produced is good. But I think it is taking the pressure off. Like, I think there's been a lot of positives from it for the most part, because a lot of people can now create what they want to see in the world, since everything is changing and like so internet based already. So I don't know, like I'm kind of hopeful about it. It's kind of like scary too. I don't know if you guys watch Black Mirror, but it's kind of like everything's just a Black Mirror episode. And
it just won't end.
I know a lot of people are like freaking out.
Just watched that for the first time the other day. But anyway,
really?
But go ahead.
I don't know. I've seen like people my age kind of freak out about just not having their distractions. I feel like it's helped people who are already creative or already like taking care of themselves and just
definitely leveled the playing field. I tell my brother that all the time. I say it definitely but there was a point where it was getting bad, where it's like, wow, you know, what does a person do that wants to maintain integrity a little bit in what they do? What do we do right now when all that matters is honestly buffoonery or something all over the place? So you're right. Like it's more like you're right. Like it's a perspective and how you look at things. It definitely life is what you make it. So you can definitely make this into something good.
Yeah.
right? And I feel like it was everything's just a build up. Like it seemed out of nowhere for a lot of people, but at the same time, if you kind of just look back at all the signs and even like the health wave kind of that was I felt like was really extreme the last 3 years. I feel like even that was preparation for what's going on right now too.
Totally. They're totally about to push veganism and all of that too. Like they're about to jump on your back now too. It's like whatever that's funny. Yep. I feel like whatever, like if hip hop's popping, put everything through that now. We're putting Pepsi through that. We're putting everything through that. You know what I'm saying? Why it's going to be the same? Why you're going to see all types of silly shit at Whole Foods now? You're going to see all types of silly shit, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing I
because
think,
she's right. Like it is. It's a setup for all of that too.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing that I'm saying is like, all right, think about like 80s. You was around in the 80s, Nick. I was around in the 90s or whatever. She not much younger than me, but like I think like all right, so we had that period where people like when they was doing creative things as far as their expression, they were drawing from a very real place. And like now, as these days go on, if the years go on like this, like where are you going to be pulling from as far as your creativity and like, you know what I mean? Like
That's what I was going to say. It's going to stifle people like me a little bit who need the connection, who need to like feed off of the like I say, I ain't wrote nothing, I ain't made nothing. It's just no fun. There's no fun when I'm sitting there in my room with a computer or nothing. I like sitting there with the people and a couple girls and some conversation, and like whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Like this conversation would be better in person.
That's where you get all of that great shit from. You don't really get it from just. It sucks a little bit, but then at the same time, you do have to isolate sometimes. I just think it's a balance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, like straight isolation type shit. We get into like what? I don't know, man. It's kind of like China, right? Don't they live kind of like this and shit? Like I don't know.
I mean, I guess they're just definitely more controlled and robotic.
Like I'm scared to touch you. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I always saw Chinese and Asian. I saw a lot of Asians when I would travel wearing the masks in general. I don't know if they were sick or if they were worried about diseases, but before this happened for years, I had seen Asians traveling with masks.
Yeah, like it's kind of crazy to me. I get it, like the social distancing, right? They'll be like, hit you with the social distancing. I'm like, they even gave this shit coined it a name and shit, and I'd be like, wow. I don't think that's good for people.
I think, I mean, it was right on time.
I think people are meant to
it was definitely
interact.
It was definitely right on time because people was definitely kind of coming together on certain things that was like really kind of going to create an anarchy situation.
Yeah, you have people trying to buy football teams and different shit, and and all of a sudden, you just put a halt to this shit.
All right. So, Maya, or Nick too, would y'all, so as this shit goes into virtual reality, are y'all gonna put the goggles on? Y'all gonna do the virtual reality? You gonna with the Demolition Man?
Damn, that sucks. And not after knowing the real thing, man, that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even. You go ahead, Maya. You elaborate. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I kind of am freaked out about technology and stuff too. So hopefully not. Like, I don't have a desire to. The way I use the internet enough, like, feels like that already. So I feel like nothing is set in stone right now either, though. It really depends on how many people, like, do their part of the work or something, and then whatever's created from that is what we go from. But at the same time, like, the future of technology and how they integrate that is going to happen regardless. So
yeah, because the germophobia thing is real. People's germophobes.
My bad, I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you good.
Can everybody like hear us all at once, or do we like come in like in pieces?
It'll probably be jumbled at different points, but I think we're good. I mean, as long as we can keep a nice boundary, we good.
I mean, so what do you think? I mean, all right, look, we still on the corona, right? Do you think? Do you think it's going to like really have like lasting effects? I mean, I know some people with it, man, and they're like, look, man, I'm a little fatigued, I'm a little tired, but other than that, man, I'm be straight. That's what they're like, and I'm like, oh, okay, shit, all right, cool. He's like, yeah, I had, a little fatigue, I had a little achy, a little cough and shit, and they're not making any, and that's another thing, they're not making any big deal out of the people that are just like getting rid of, like the two ball players that first got it. You don't hear nothing about them. You know why? Because the last thing you heard about them was, oh, they got over that in a matter of days, and they're ready to play, and they're not.
Cardio is too strong.
They're not exhibiting. They had a few coughs and they had flu-like symptoms, but it's past type shit. Or like even Idris Elba. Where your bitch at? I need to. Like, where are you?
I think he's in like New Mexico or Arizona or something right now. Locked down.
Yeah, like are you somewhere sickly? Like
no.
hurting? Like, oh my god.
No,
by the time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need to know these things. Like, this is why I say it's such a charade anyway.
Yeah.
Like, if something really real was happening like that, shouldn't it be all over our TV screens? Shouldn't it be like everything? Like, remember how in in these movies and shit like that, everything will shut off and you can't get through. It'd be like a feed.
Emergency broadcast.
And it'll be like, yeah, like shouldn't that be occurring? Like if it's that real, like, you know what I'm saying? If it's that detrimental, like, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know, it could get there. I just think that, yeah, like, where do you see it going though? Like, do you I know you were saying like it's not set in stone and stuff. But where do you, as far as this momentum, this is crazy momentum. I haven't seen anything gain this much momentum this fast ever in my life.
Yeah, this is funny. This is funny in our lifetime.
Yeah, you couldn't get people to do a lot of shit in mass, like they getting people to put masks on and all that type of shit. Like, this is, to get this many people on board, I've never seen it. So it definitely seems like a lot of momentum. So I don't, where do you think it's headed? You know what I mean? Like, where do you see, what kind of world is being shaped right now? Like, as far as, what you can see from your perspective.
I honestly don't know. I feel like there's so many different ways it could go. I don't think it's ever going to, feel the same again, because we've also never been at this point of time with, the tools that we have and certain types of systems we have in place now. So everything is kind of just, this is a new experience that we're all going through at the same time. And it does, I don't know, it does seem like we're kind of being eased into a different way of life, whatever they're trying to mold behind the scenes. And I can't see much farther than that, I guess, because I kind of don't care, because if I'm alive, I'm going to have to figure out how to navigate it in a way that doesn't feel like a personal hell. But I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean,
what a time.
Yeah,
to be alive.
Yeah, I mean, all right, so I'm gonna be dystopian and extreme. So, as far as I think everything has to get totally bad before it can get good. It seems like that's the nature of change. So I feel like what they're gunning for, because they're pretty much going for broke in a lot of ways with this.
Tell them I'm gunning for.
I think what they're gunning for, their view of it, this the Silicon Valley wet dream right here. They're gunning for obviously the virtual reality world with the 5G and everybody being hooked up to these autonomous vehicles and all that type of stuff. If you're moving around at all, you got universal basic income, so that all of the money is doled out by the state, and then all of the money being spent is monitored. And then you got basically Amazon and Walmart and all these major corporations. They're basically the government in street clothes. So I think
systematic living. That's my diet.
Yeah, that's what I feel like we're definitely headed that way. And I feel like the control there's already a lot of control. They kind of, right now it was kind of they were everything was in a lane, and they were the bumpers trying to kind of keeping things in, they didn't make people kill each other and do drugs. They just brought the drugs in and brought the guns in and put the ingredients there. You know what I mean? It's kind of they put this shit there. But now it's kind of almost they are trying to force it. Like they are like trying to create, to me, a world where if you have universal basic income and you're entitled to, you know, uh, stipends every month or whatever, you're gonna have to give something to get that. Always, you're gonna have to give something up to get something. There's never receiving for nothing. So, you know, as far as what I can see, I think that if you're not gonna, it's kind of like the Black Mirror shit, like she was saying, like, you know, that one episode when the dude from Get Out, when he was riding on the bike, he was riding on the bike every day to generate energy.
I only saw one episode.
Oh, okay, the one
sex world shit.
Yeah, that joint's anything. But nah, like the one joint, the dude from Get Out, right? He was riding on the bike or whatever to generate energy for the society, and he would get like credits for doing that. And that's all they did. They lived in like cubes, and they never really went out. Everything was like a digital. You know what I mean? Like if you wanted to be outside, you just change your environment in your cube or whatever, and like it would be like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So like it was. I really feel like that's kind of where it's headed. Like you're gonna have to, you know, that's like a rudimentary level riding a bicycle or whatever. But I think that like as far as fueling it and fueling the grid and the matrix itself, I really feel like you're gonna have to definitely like each month give up a certain amount of blood, your sperm, your egg, your you probably have to probably do have to give up your sweat by working some way, like riding your bike and stuff like that, to generate your energy and stuff like that. I really feel like those are the exchanges that will be made. And it's kind of like, so you go into your virtual reality shit. You know, I mean, this might be like 10 years out. I don't know, 5 years out, whatever. But like everybody going into their virtual reality shit with the 5G hookups, and it's like you like so. All right, basically, yeah. So like instead of
then a nigga like me really becomes a dinosaur.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just saying. Like I think that it's kind of like the Soylent Green shit, man. Where like Cloud Atlas, like, you know how they was like, you know, they cloned all the people, and then they was like, you know, when the clones reached a certain age, they would just kill them and then feed them back to the clones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I think. Yeah. That's where I feel like it's going. Like you give up your blood, your plasma, your sperm, your eggs or whatever. You get your universal basic income, and then you use that credit in the VR. And so in your physical reality, I feel like you're gonna get your Soylent Green, which will probably be, you know, Soylent Green is, you know, people. You eat your motherfucking other people. You know what I mean? So I think that like, you know, just be like ground up people into like a putty or a mush or a drink, and then people go into their VR and they'll eat a steak in the VR. And the VR will be so real that they'll be like kind of satisfied with it. You know what I mean? Because their bodies will be eating the Soylent Green, but their consciousness will be in the VR, you know what I mean? To where they kind of feel satisfied by it, and I feel like that's kind of where it's headed in my opinion, you know, as far as like that's where it's gonna go. That's the dystopian future, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like if that's possible, the utopia is still possible, but I just feel like that's the vision of these motherfuckers that's been lame their whole lives.
Yeah, no, it's definitely I think dreams and fantasies of certain people. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, to be able to dictate every move. See, that's the beauty. That was the beauty of life for a while.
The anonymity and the randomness.
You know, that's what they had in the 70s, man, in the 60s. It was like, that's what I be realizing too. Like in the 70s and 60s, probably everywhere in the world. Even in, like you saw in the City of God. Remember they showed you in the 70s. And I think like it was probably like around the last time it was like you know, you can't control every little fucking thing. And now, you know, you got people who have worked and stayed on their job and stayed disciplined and vigilant and built their money up and their resources and shit. And there you have it. Now they, you know, can control shit. So like that's what I be thinking. I mean, you know. Shit.
So if it went the other way, if this shit was to crash though, or maybe get integrated in a better way, to serve us in a better way, to where, you know, we don't have military grade shit like what 5G radiation around us. Like Maya, since you're probably the more positive one here, like you know,
exactly,
you know what I'm saying? Like what do you think? Like the future would look like if things didn't go into the dystopia that I just mentioned.
Yeah, he just vividly laid out for us.
I pictured it. I'm there already now. I don't know. Like, I feel like you're right. It definitely probably will go to that side of the spectrum. But I feel like there's still loopholes in everything. So maybe there's a way to not make it that bad. And, like, I remember reading, like, books, like, that were just like the situations that we're in now, and just a society like that, too. And, like, technology, the people in control of it and how people like use their energy on it is the problem. But at the same time, we've gotten a lot of like, we're able to just accomplish a lot because of technology and the certain platforms. And it's not the end all be all, but it obviously was like some came from some form of intelligence outside of this realm. And like, I don't know, I guess it kind of has always felt like we were being pushed towards a futuristic sci-fi movie society. So it doesn't feel that new to me. But like, if they're taking away, if the goal is to completely just take away our humanness, then, and like cause an imbalance and invert everything like we kind of have been for a while.
Yeah.
Then,
I mean, normal was already sick. The normal we coming out of was already fucked up, to be real. It was already super racist and hateful. I mean, it wasn't really.
Yeah, I was about to say, are we gonna get deep with this shit? Or are we gonna go like deep?
I think we have to. You know what I mean? Yeah. My bad. Go ahead,
like, all right, look, they always have to combat black. That's the point. That's period.
That's organic.
So, that's where they're getting all of this energy from. Period. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. So,
right.
Boom.
Yeah, a bunch of people going just, well, I'm leaving now.
So, boom. All this organic engineering and energy comes from that thing that they call melanin, all of that, whatever they want to call it, black, whatever you want to call it. So, I think it comes down to what my brother be saying. If you looked at everybody as one, right, across the globe, if you looked at everybody as connected, which they are, because if I put my hand with yours, I'm connected. Now, electricity is running through me, it's running through you, and then you grab somebody else's hand. So just think about like that old picture where it's the globe and there's all those bodies holding hands around it, like, you know, like dancing around. So you think about it like that, and you say, oh shit, we have all of these dumbass thoughts because of how we eat. Like, it's really that simple. So like, your dumb ass is worried about trying to get up in a pod and do some shit up in a pod, when really, if you just had probably a different diet or different, you know, shit you was putting in your body or whatever, exercise and shit like that, you would like be actually doing shit. Like, you know, like you'd be like, yo man, why do I need to be in the pod when I've climbed trees? I've done cool shit. I've did a backflip.
But yeah,
I've done.
but
hey, you see what I'm saying?
But you know that
black,
these
colored people usually come with this organically.
Yeah.
Like, how did they just know how to do it? How did they just know how to dance? how does this work? How does this work? You know how this works? It's the energy that is tapped into the body, like to the
in tune with the rhythms of life. And so other rhythms is just secondary.
So here's where you get this opposition now. You get this other side where they're just so angry. They're literally just so angry. Like these things haven't been blessed upon it, but there's been other things that's been, and they just overlook it.
The inorganic things is blessed upon them.
But here's the thing. It all comes from that. Because I think about it and I say, well, would anybody really have these diabolical thoughts of like tearing some shit up if they weren't tearing themselves up?
No, it's definitely coming from inside out.
I don't think people would have an idea of making a bomb or doing anything like that if for some reason they weren't tearing themselves up. They wouldn't even have that thought.
No.
It wouldn't even be, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you're tearing your colon up, you're tearing your insides up, you're bombing yourself and shit, doing shit, Trust me, I know. Drinking right now, smoking right now. Trust me, you're going to have devilish thoughts. Period. It's not even a question. So that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. The world is sick, as a whole. Like imagine if, like this time my brother, man, imagine if the world was a giant, and then this is one leg, and then that's the leg over there. California is the other leg. Arizona, Seattle, Mexico, because that's all Mexico. That's all Mexico. They just call it Seattle and Arizona, but that's all Mexico. So all organic black energy over there. So it just is what it is, man. And the cancer has spread on Mother Nature, and now she like, you know what? I do what I do, man. You're never gonna beat me. Yo, you can't beat me.
But that's that's my main point.
And that's what you're saying.
That's my main. That's
my sermon. I'm done.
Nah. That's my main point though. It's like, the unnatural is gonna feed off the natural. That's his power source. You know what I'm saying? The natural feeds off the supernatural, and that's his power source. You can't beat your source of power. You can't. You know what I mean? You're not gonna beat. As soon as you start to even try to consume what you're getting energy from fully, you're gonna topple over as well, because that's where you getting your source of energy. So I feel like, like you said, like cancer is a fungus. You know what I mean? Like it's fungus. You know what I mean? Really. So cancer around the world or whatever, colonialism is the human fungus. You know what I mean? At this point. So like, I don't feel like, people will talk about microbial balance and all that. And you need some fungus or whatever. I feel like if it's kept in check, it's not so bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that
you can manage anything.
Yeah, it's just
everything in moderation. You can do that, but that still don't really count.
I think the role of the fungus, the role of the fungus and the fungus people, or the people controlled by the fungus the most. I feel like the role of that is pretty much eating the dead shit, like you said. Like, black people do things first, or whatever. The organic does the organic, or the supernatural bestows the patterns first, right? So then you have the inorganic mimicking and copying. That's what parasites do. Copy the pattern, because that's kind of what it is. Like, you leave shit for dead. It's perfect for the maggots. Like, it's like
leave shit for dead.
You know what I mean? It's like what their role is. You know what I mean? It's like, when somebody makes it's Hollywood Divorce. If anybody's ever heard Hollywood Divorce, like, you know what I mean? That's what it is.
Hollywood Divorce, a good song by Lil Wayne and Outkast.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying?
Check it out.
Yeah, like, yo, so like, it's like, starts off as a little hood thing. You know what I mean? And as soon as it gets to that other side, it's like dead. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we choked that, we murdered that. And it's like, y'all can have it. You know what I mean? And they be enjoying the shit that's dead. And I feel like that's kind of the way it's always going to be. But now it's just like so stagnant in general. Like, that everybody, you know what I mean, is kind of on the colonial mind. Like, everybody's minds is colonized. So like, it's just, the creativity is so dwindled down. It's everybody passing around the same dollar, like, you know what I mean, and everybody inbreeding too closely. So like, it's just it's not spread out like the way it probably was when it was more colorful in the world. You know what I mean?
There's a good movie too called The Miracle at St. Anna. Right? Watch that shit. It's called The Miracle at St. Anna, and it's about these soldiers. Of course, they black. They're like one of the few black platoons over there in France during like World War, whatever the fuck it is, right? And it's dope, man. And they they in the place, right? And they got there's four of them. They got the light skinned cat, he got the green eyes, who's like hot right now. He's like one of the big actors right now.
Maya, you got green eyes, right?
Yeah.
Maya, I'm saying Maya.
Then they got.
She's on.
Oh shit, my bad.
Maya, you on here?
My bad.
Yeah. What?
You got green eyes, right? Now, I was just interjecting. I was just saying, like, just so people can kind of get an idea of, who's here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just, my bad, Nick. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, it's just a good movie, like, on touching on some of the supernatural things. Like, they had a big dude in their platoon. As a matter of fact, it was the big dude from 8 Mile that was in 8 Mile, right? And he was, he was just big, and doofy.
The gunky dude, the bizarre dude?
South or whatever. Huh?
The dude that's supposed to be bizarre?
Probably. The big dude in in 8 Mile, right?
He's supposed to be bizarre, right?
He there was this little boy. I think he's like deaf, and they came across it, you know, and they traveled. But for some reason, the big dude was like, "We can't leave the little boy." You know, he's saying blah blah blah, and the little boy kept saying to the big guy, like, "You're the sleeping man. You're the sleeping man, right?" And you know, you watching the movie like the fuck, right? Like what the fuck? And then at one point, yo, they show him like sideways, the big dude, and he looks just like the mountain outside, and they call the mountain the sleeping man. It looks like a man sleeping. Yo, the shit was dope, nigga. This shit give you chills, nigga. Like, oh shit. And it was like, yo, look, the sleeping man. The sleeping man. He finally came back. And it was just, it's a wild story. It's a wild story. You know what I mean? It's a dope flick.
Basically how the earth reflects the people.
And like, I just think life is like that. Like, we're just imitations of the universe. That's all we are.
Yeah.
It's just imitations of the trees, of the fucking mountains and oceans and shit, you know?
Yeah.
You're that with a body on it.
Yeah. Like, it's definitely one pattern.
Like,
it's one pattern that we kind of all copying.
Yeah, you're that with a capsule on it. So once you start tainting it and messing with it and doing all, you know, you're going to have messed up shit. And that's what we living in, shit. That's what I think, man. I think it's what you always said, man. You know, just got to clean that body, man. Everybody. Look, everybody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needs to be clean.
All right.
If that doesn't occur, we will keep running into shit like this. Or whatever the next shit will be. Yeah. Because we're putting shit inside of us. So it's just that simple. Like, it's that simple.
Yeah. So,
you know, that's what I think.
All right. You know so
I'm sorry.
No, we good. We right now we are like the color. We good. We are the color scheme. I feel like we're like kind of like the color wheel. We don't really have. We're missing the dark skinned dude and the super pale white guy. But from the you know what I'm saying? Like from me, Maya to you, it's everything in between. You know what I mean? Like so. All right, Maya, you seen the inner splicing of the shades from an intimate level. My brother's seen it. I've seen it. You know, as far as like the interactions, like as far as this ever getting mended, how do you see it happening? Do you think it's ever possible? And like as far as the differences, like, cause from my understanding of your situation, your father's the one that's dark skinned and your mother's the one that's lighter, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So like, do you think it's different if your mother's the one that's dark or colored and your father's the one that's light? Like, as far as your experiences with interacting with the different shades and everything, and how can that be mended? Like, because as far as like people grouping up, it always seems to like backfire in a way. Like, you know what I mean? When all the mixed people got together, they pretty much, you know, they created the boule, and it was like, well, you know, fuck both sides. Fuck y'all both. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you bridge these gaps here? You know what I mean? I feel like me and my brother kind of like the gap bridgers in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like between mulatto and white and black and mulatto. I feel like we kind of bridge them gaps. So like, for you, like, what do you see? Like, do you think that us having all the same blight, like it's the whole world being under the thumb of big tech and a technocracy or whatever being controlled, like, is that what it will take for people to be like, all right, I'm not going to trip about you being this way no more? You know what I mean? Like, is that what it would take? Or what do you think would unify people? And like, or is it even supposed to happen? Like,
right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's supposed to happen in the ways that people think it should. Like, because like mixed people in the first place, like, you're mixing things. So like bloodlines, history, and a lot of mixed kids like don't know their history, and just a lot of shit has happened from it. And I think like it's hard to mend because the conversations that are had about it are usually about color, and instead of just like why being black is just a powerful thing and where the source of energy comes from. And it's definitely different when like the mom is the darker skinned one and the dad's the lighter skinned is what I've noticed. Mixed kids who have a black mom, they seem to understand their blackness more and know how to navigate it better. That's what I've observed. And like, I don't know how you would mend it because the conversations that have to be had, it doesn't just stop at like the surface level color of things, and that's where people get caught up. I think if, like you guys said, everything's an imitation of the energy that's always been there, then that's always going to be the problem in the future as well. So an imitation of energy, and like it all being technology based, people might forget that they were arguing about color in the first place, but like the source of power and the reasons why we probably shouldn't have mixed things in the first place are still there.
Yeah. So what do you think makes a person mix?
Well put, Maya.
Yeah.
I think no. I think the family got too big. Like not like, because look,
the
if you look
species.
at everybody as one, think about how big that family is. Like, you can't control everybody, yo.
No.
Like once it gets big, like think about a drug group. Think about a clique of niggas right there, right? Once it gets past like 3, yo, somebody's snitching, somebody's giving work to their baby mama.
New York State of Mind Part 2.
Somebody's overextending, not coming up right with the pack money. Like once the family just gets too big, that's what I like. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really want to look at it like that, sometimes I look at it like that.
I guess it makes it easier.
Family just got too big.
I guess it does.
You know, who's running what? Ain't nobody running shit. This family's huge.
Yeah. I mean, when it gets extended, when it gets extended like that, it's easier to be like, man, you ain't family. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
you too far now. It's too far.
I don't even know you.
Yeah.
Like, so if that, that I just think, I think we got to a point where it got big, spread all over the globe, and what I mean it is, I guess, us. You know what I'm saying? Humans, people, and I don't think it's like, I don't think it's unmanageable or nothing. I think that's the way it's supposed to be. If that's what happened.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It wouldn't have happened if that way was supposed to happen. Like, you see what I'm saying? So I just say, yeah, like, it's hilarious, man. Yeah, just, get yourself right. And that's it, man. That's probably what we're all in the process of really. That's what this is too. This is for the big wigs who had no discipline.
This is definitely forcing. No, I'm saying everybody that's afraid now, they've been afraid their whole lives, and everybody that's been hustling or getting theirs, they just continue.
Yeah, like, I'm not even really worried about
They just continue. Yeah, it's not like, you know what I mean.
And I get looked at like I'm crazy.
Yeah, and I feel like if people was already on going off the grid shit or talking that shit, now it's like, are you ready to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
are you really ready to do that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And my thing is this though too. Like, I think, like I say, big wigs. I'm talking about there's people that run our nation. It's not like that makes them better or they matter or anything like that. They just got some bread and there's a certain system set up and they're at the top of business. Like you were talking about the Amazons and the
bunch of gangs
owners and all of that. Man, they control a lot of what we do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So guess what? They needed a way to get disciplined. They're like, yo, I've been spending, all I've been doing is drinking and eating steak for the last 3 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, it's got a lot to do with that too.
This is what vertical.
Everything we're saying.
This is what vertical integration looks like. You know what I mean? I feel like, and I mean, like, the government. Like you saying, like, they're gangs and shit, right? And like,
yeah, everybody ganged up.
Yeah, the shades is already in gangs, and like, the government itself is kind of like a money gang. You know what I'm saying? Money teams. So like, it's crazy because the government pretty much taught everybody else how to hustle. Like, you know what I mean? They set the pattern in a lot of ways. And I guess like collectively human nature was kind of that way. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like the animal nature.
Check this out. You know what some old niggas told me one day? They was like, yo, I didn't know how to beat nobody's ass, right? I didn't know how to go across somebody's head with a 2x4 with a nail in it until what? Until I saw Daffy Duck. I didn't know how to bring up a shotgun or even know what a shotgun was or how it worked until I saw Elmer Fudd. Now, these is guys who's like 60, 50. You see what I'm saying? And I said, oh, shit. You know, it's funny how we just kind of manifest what we put in. Whatever we put in is what we put out. So, like, yeah, for years, people have been putting bad shit in them. So they putting bad shit out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, include myself. I can't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. Like,
yeah, no, I'm just
America's
saying,
a nasty place, man.
Yeah, no, and I feel like some people have, like, yeah, some people, right, they are in a position, like, in their consciousness and in their body, that they have the parasites that can eat the things that are typically eaten in this world. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm gonna, you know, I guess I'm gonna just sound crazy, but like, as far as like the icy blue-eyed motherfuckers, you know what I mean? Like, if you got the icy blue eyes, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll go right in, right? Like, might as well, because they already don't like me anyway, right? So, like, the icy blues, right? They have the parasites to deal with it. For generally speaking, I mean, like, again, like, you know, I'm gonna come off crazy because I'm speaking in generalities. You know what I mean? It's gonna come off like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking like there's no anomaly.
You crackpot.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. Like, the Caucasian ideals, or these ideals that come out of, you know, cold places where, you know, it's cold. Like, I mean, we're born naked. You know what I mean? So wherever we can live naked is more close to our organic nature and shit. So if you can't live in that and you can't be housed in that environment, it purges you. You know, whatever comes with that, you know, environment that you go into, like, that's part of that frequency. You know what I mean? Like, and you know what I'm saying? So I feel like for the whole world to be on the Caucasian frequency is just crazy. Like, somebody is always gonna hold that place. But like,
but the first shall be last and the last shall be first.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So it always, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like,
I mean, but all right.
Their turn.
Look, see, I don't know. I don't have any blue-eyed family that I've ever met. You know what I mean?
I said I don't think we have anybody.
So that's why I feel like, I guess I'm almost like, that's why I kind of put the barrier up, right? I don't know if you have blue-eyed people in your family that you be like, man, nah, man, they break the mold. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? When the devil made you, he broke the mold. But no, I'm saying, no, just joking.
I want to get Maya more into the conversation.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. Nah, I'm just saying, like, as far as like this, right? I just want to get to this point, right, where, as far as the government is concerned, the ideals and the people running the legislation, for the most part and at the highest levels, it's a lot of people with blue eyes. And I feel like that biology, the ideals that come with that, is really offensive to a lot of the world. You know what I mean? And so I just want to know, because I don't have any blue-eyed family. You know what I mean? I've met some blue-eyed people in my life that was cool people. But I'm just saying, I don't know them well enough to know if they're not cool. But I'm just saying, like, Maya, do you know, like, in your personal experience, like, can you say, like, yeah, nah, these people, or these, you know, I've met these people that have broke these ideals, these ideas, or these stereotypes, have these things been broken in your lifetime? Like, can you really be like, I'm gonna trust Trump, like, fully, or somebody like that? Like, somebody with them icy blues, you know what I mean? Like, it's just difficult for me. Okay. I might just be afraid.
Before you say what you're gonna say, Maya, before you're gonna say what you say, think about that. I'm glad you're using it as an example. Think about Trump, though. Just look at him, though. Like, look at him. Remember what I said. Filling yourself with trash, right? You know what I mean? You're filling yourself with trash. Like, look at him. Like, look at him. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, you can't expect. I don't know. I just be like, look, I mean.
The only thing with Trump is that he's been around black people more intimately.
Said in the stand-up the other day, and it was, I don't really fuck with him too heavy, but it was funny. He said, motherfuckers, somebody will come back and they'll be like, look, it's Jesus, right? And what we've been saying forever, and D.L. Hughley said, Jesus wear glasses? Motherfucker, Jesus, he's like, did he come out of lens crafters or some shit he said? But it was funny though because it's like, yeah, no, Jesus is gonna be perfect. Like it ain't like that type of
Like Christ in physical
leaders.
form.
Yeah, like it's a joke. Like it's a joke. Like he's out there spewing what he's putting in. What he's putting in, he's giving out. You know what I'm saying? But I can't be mad at it because I get it. I mean, I get it. I'm just not on that level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's my
anyway.
That's my question though. Like, can you, like, you know what I mean? Have you felt like, because like I always look at it like, maybe I'm just afraid. Maybe there is just like, I'm just afraid. I'm deeply afraid of the things that people of this ilk have done or maybe done to my bloodline or whatever, and I just have this fear. You know what I mean? Or is it justified? I feel like maybe if you have people that's closer to you in your life, Maya, that have blue eyes, maybe you can shed some light on that. I don't know.
I do have a lot, like my cousins, they're all blue-eyed. My aunt, she's blue-eyed. So, like, I've, from them, for personal example, which was not good examples, like, when you asked me if I could think of anyone that I just fully trusted with that, like, no one could come to mind, and I'm still sitting here trying to figure out if I've had, like, a good example. And I feel like there's been close. I don't think they all are bad or want to be, but there's like just something in their makeup, their genetic makeup, that just they can't handle certain things that they try to take on, or because of seeds planted so long ago and like where they come from and their ancestors and stuff. It's hard to not be a little evil on that side of the spectrum. Because their desires are just different and what they care about, and because of how it's set up. And so from personal experience, they seem a bit fragmented. And even from my own doing, my own dialogue and just like seeing my mom and stuff,
Let me ask you this, Maya. Where do you think ideas come from?
I feel like they come from like a different realm. Like by the time it comes to us, it has been trying to like come into our mind for a while now. Like,
is aware of itself.
I feel like it's a frequency you're like tapped into. I'm not sure, but it's definitely something that.
I'm with you, Maya. I think it's a whole culmination of things, like you're saying. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a culmination. Right now, check this out. Now, listen to this. I was listening to what you guys were just saying. I'm sorry. I mean, how I get all clear. I'm imaginative, Mike. So I get, I'm listening to what y'all saying, blue eyes and different things, right? Now, check this out. What gave Michael Myers the idea to make Dr. Evil look how he looked? Right? Like, you think about that. Like, why would that just manifest itself? And the name is Dr. Evil.
Yeah. Or
now
like,
think about how Dr. Evil looked.
Or all vampires is pale.
Like, think about exactly how he looked. Like he looked like the Despicable Me dude or whatever, but in real life, like he's hunched over. He was super pale, no hair, looked crazy, right? Look crazy. Now, what makes you in your mind have this idea? And that's when I say, see, that's the truth that doesn't die, that's embedded in all of us. It kind of runs through us like a spirit, and it just manifests, just jumps out of us like, this is how this should look. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know who thought of that or came up with it, but that's the end result you got when you saw Dr. Evil. That was the end result. He looked like that. He wore one outfit every day, and and he looked crazy, and he was just crazy. He was manic, you know what I'm saying? But then he's not respected, and then he's, you know what I'm saying? It's amazing how we can't hide anything, but we try to hide everything.
Yeah, no, I think okay, Maya. Do you think?
Sorry.
No, you good. No, I mean it's all good interjection. I'm just saying, like, do you think that they trust each other? Because like I'm thinking like the amount of distrust that I feel like is generated, or I feel when I'm around people of this creed, or not creed, of this ilk, however you want to say it, you know, I feel like there's this distrust there, like, you know what I mean, of the process of the intangible, you know, not always, but generally, you know what I mean, like, and just more distrust and like distrust within me and distrust I can feel off of them, and I just feel like, do y'all trust each other? Like, do y'all really need to have a FBI, a CIA, you know, all these different NSA, all these things? It seems like y'all don't trust each other, and y'all constantly investigating each other, and like it seems like this like life of less trust, like it kind of bled into the rest of the world. Whereas, you know what I mean? Because it just seems like, I don't know, like, do other blue-eyed people trust each other? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like whenever I get around melanated people, the more melanated, typically, you know what I mean? Typically, when I'm around them, certain things are like understood or understood to where you like, well, I don't got to say that. It's kind of great that I don't have to say that. You know what I mean? And I just wonder, like, is that never felt in a blue-eyed person's lifetime? And I'm ignorant to it because I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't know if that's the case. Like, do they have so much distrust that when they see each other, they have, you know what I mean? They feel like it's no trust there? Or is it like, nah, we cool, it's the tribe? You know what I mean? Because I feel like that when I be around other melanated people and they can recognize the darkness in me. It's kind of like, okay, all right, like, you know what I mean? Certain common ground is just like forged there. And it's like a trust kind of happens where like, all right, well, I know he's not going to stab me in my sleep or like rape my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like that kind of shit is kind of understood. You know what I mean? Not to say all blue-eyed people doing shit like that. I'm just saying like that it's like a unsaid law almost, like there's enough God in this person to know better. You know what I mean? When they're warmer like that, when they coming from that warmth, like, you know what I mean? Generally, but now with everybody eating the same garbage, it's kind of fucked up.
Exactly.
To where everybody could like kill anybody at any point. But
exactly,
I'm just saying.
That's what I think.
Maya, do you think that, because it's the minority of the earth, blue-eyed people, that's the minority of earth. Do you think that they generally trust people, or each other, I mean? And if that's what created the distrust, you know, around the world in a sense, like, and if that recessive energy that's maybe in everybody now, if that's what has us kind of infected with distrust, you know what I mean? Because we're not separated, obviously. Everybody's kind of connected. So.
Right. No, from experience, I haven't seen like blue-eyed like trusting each other in the way that you're talking about, and it's like, I guess it probably is hard for them too, because they are kind of, what they are is foreign even to themselves, and like the way that they try to prove themselves or how they try to generate their power are from things that are artificial. And so that like that bond that people that have like a culture and tribe and that sense of like community and doing your part in a community, like I feel like the blue-eyed spectrum, their definition of loyalty and just like a bond in the first place, it's not, they don't really think about the eternal energy side of it, maybe because they don't have much of it. But yeah, no, definitely. I just feel like they're kind of fragmented people with perspectives and trying to keep things alive that are like supposed to die in a sense.
Yeah. So you think, like you said, they like unnatural, inorganic things because do you think it takes more for them to feel alive? Like, where, you know what I mean? Like other people, and it's kind of bled into a lot of people. Everybody's doing drugs kind of right now, but I'm just saying, like, do you think that it just requires more?
And alcohol.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I'm saying, you think it requires more, though, if you are closer to that. The closer you get to that, do you think it requires more to feel alive? Like, I need this Coke to feel any kind of alive. You know what I mean? Like, I need this, you know what I mean? I need whatever concentrate. I need the pre-workout, because I can't just work out. I don't, you know what I mean? Do you think that is like, do you think that is what it is? Like, it's just a numbness, and then like, and that, I feel like it's like the super rational mind, and it has its place, I guess, in life because it's here. But like that super rational mind, like the numbness, creating the numbers and shit. I feel like that is like what that mind is there for, like the separatist mind. Like, you know what I mean? That's like the on the spectrum of things, I guess, from irrational oneness, total oneness, to rational. It's like we getting closer we get to rational, we're getting closer to like the, you know, that separation, blue eyes, like, you know, being a minority, kind of being a separation. You know what I mean? Like being like, you know, supposedly exalted. You know what I mean? As far as like the standard right now, white supremacy and everything. Like,
yeah, I mean, well,
do you think it, I'm saying my question is, do you think that they require more to feel alive? Like, whereas maybe somebody could just, I don't know, melanated person might just sing or play a flute or some shit and be like, yeah, I feel alive. You know,
well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's all like more, you know, white people, like whether they blue eyed or whatever. Like, you know, there's so many levels. See, that's what you know, delving into this showed me is there's so many levels to color. You know, like in a sense where it's like, okay, you know, you have an Irishman, that red hair, that's color. You know, that's like fire. That's color in it. Or that Scandinavian guy with the dirty brown blonde hair, you know, brown eyes. Well, that's color. Like, you see what I'm saying? So
it's very, very light black.
Huh?
It's just very, 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 very light black.
It's exactly so many shades off of that black that at this point, the family that got so big that it's just gonna be what it is, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like think about that though. Think about it like that.
Yeah,
like,
but that's what I'm saying though. Like,
you know what I'm saying? The family got so big, man.
Yeah, but do y'all think though that it requires more, and that's why people started eating animals and shit, because, you know, you're not in the warmth. It ain't a bunch of fruits everywhere and
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So you're away
it's
from
not
that.
Even a question.
Yes.
Definitely.
So you need to have that, because you feel so empty that you need more filling. You know what I mean? Whatever it may be, density. So like
that and it even kind of goes with your environment if you don't do it to a detriment. It even kind of goes with this environment, like where we're like how it's been, you know, what we're involved in. But now to a detriment, it's crazy, you know.
One thing I will say about this energy.
Oh my God! Somebody called me. Watch him keep calling me. This dude a clown, yo.
Oh, okay.
This dude a clown, yo. Watch him keep calling me. I had to damn near cuss this dude out last night. Called me like, I don't know how many times straight. At like 4 in the morning, I had to cuss this fucking dude out. Like you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Like, anyway.
We want something. You know,
Yeah, exactly. See?
Don't see nothing else. Don't see nothing else.
Now look. Now here's the crazy thing though. Like I say though, you know, I just think, yeah, like I think, like, you know, family got really fucking big, and now it's like, wait, what do we do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's running this shit? Who's steering the shit?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? That you can't have the, you know what I mean? You gotta have, like, you need good followers, and you need, like, just as much you need good leaders. And I feel like at some level you do need that rational mind. Like, I'm not totally discounting it, because like it's kind of like, you know, if somebody could embody it in some ways in their life, some aspects, it does benefit. Like a Larry Bird or something. This guy has, you know, he will give his life to just shooting jumpers just to be able to compete, just to be on the floor. Whereas like it's probably thousands upon thousands of dark-skinned people that like don't really have to try as hard. You know what I mean? Like, just to get to the point. It's just natural. And that's the challenge. That's the challenge. That's the challenge there.
So Maya, what is your ethnicity, man?
I'm white and black, 50.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm the same. You know what I'm saying? I'm the same. But like, you know, a little different. My mom is mixed. My dad is black. And you know what I'm saying? But it's funny how I look at it like this, right? I'll be like, man, if you can be touched with that, like all of us on this line, my brother, you, that's already the win. Because you're going to figure out a way to create because you've been touched with this thing that's like, it's like a Jordan, like yeah, you don't even know where it comes from because it's part of the earth. So you just be like, shit, I gotta do this. You just start creating shit, like you know what I mean. And so anybody touched with it now, there is the opposite side who hasn't been touched, I guess. And
I think that the urge is to destroy.
Really they're not really kissed by the sun.
Yeah.
So there is the other side, but guess what? That's still the same.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
Because it's totally different.
That's
so they have their own, way of rolling and functioning. You know what I'm saying? And it's effective shit.
That's my point, though. Like it's like the creative side needs the destroyers for fertilizing. Like you need leave shit for dead, perfect for the maggots. The maggots create the fertilizer. You know what I'm saying? The maggots, they it gets choked and murdered by the organic, and they discard it, and then the inorganic takes it because they're the only ones that can still take that shit. So like they process it.
The ashes.
Yeah, they can process that shit and bring it back to life somehow, and like you know what I mean, and create some. They kind of teach us how to like you know what I mean, because as far as the destructive end of it, that's what I feel like that's the role in that, to like completely murder it. You know what I'm saying? Completely sell it and murder it completely. You know what I mean? To where it's just done. It's just dead. You know what I mean? Forever.
It's just dead.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of what's their role.
Yeah.
To fertilize.
Yeah, no, and definitely if you can create a value off of something like what we're doing right now, which is money and all of that, and we created a value. But guess what? Imagine if everybody just got smart right now. It was like, oh shit, y'all are messing up there. Y'all are messing the books up. Y'all messed the hustle up. We don't gotta pay nothing. We ain't paying nothing. I bet you, man. I mean, like, what are you gonna really do? Because it all depends on this machine you create, this Frankenstein you built. So it's kind of like, oh shit, like right now I ain't paid my phone bill. You know how long, nigga? I ain't paid my phone bill in 10 years right now. I ain't paying shit. I ain't paying no insurance, nothing. I ain't paying shit. You know why? Because you niggas better get it together. And I know what it's like when you're out there hustling and next thing you know, you gonna fuck some shit up and you like, hold up, the customers can't know. They can't know that I fucked this up right now. they gonna eat me up right now. And that's what's happening. Look at this shit. But that's what's happening. And that's what's happening. So yeah, I ain't paid shit. I paid the car note. I paid like a rent or some shit like that. But I ain't paying shit else. I ain't paying no phone bill. I ain't paying
Everything's
shit.
on pause.
And look,
everything's on pause.
Everything's on pause, goddammit. And I'm thinking though, we be having a lot less faith in people, but they actually come rise to the occasion in these type of times. Yeah. Because I'm like, yo, shit, man. If people were paying, then they wouldn't be talking this, oh yeah, everything's suspended and all that. Yeah, you better say that shit because people is like, yeah, motherfucker, we ain't paying it. We didn't want to pay you anyway. Yeah. Like we don't want to pay you every goddamn way. So give me an excuse to some shit. And you seen them come up like, oh yeah, don't worry, rent is suspended and all of this shit. Yeah, motherfucker. It's funny how we just yield all this power, but we just, don't come together. So it's no power. It's like it doesn't kind of exist. You know what I'm saying?
Because we be wanting them drugs. We want different drugs, whatever the drug is.
Yeah, if everybody who had a cell phone right now was like, you know what, man, after this shit, I don't trust you niggas, man. I ain't paying you ever again. Guess what? I mean, all the phones would be cut off.
No, they probably keep the shit on. They probably keep it on and try to slow it all down.
No, listen. All our phones would be cut off, which wouldn't matter. Because now everybody's got to just talk to each other. Yeah. So they do. They adapt. Or you keep it on. And they'll keep it on because they just so greedy. Shit be so greedy and so used to what it would, that they'd be like, well, maybe it'll come back around. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And then slowly but surely we'll drop all the rates. Niggas will be paying $10 a month for iPhone 12s.
That's how much the shit is worth. Probably cost to make it.
Because we done came to the conclusion like, you know what? We don't trust y'all or whatever. You crazy. We're not giving you all that money. The most we're paying for that phone is $100, and they'll have to drop. That's how even drugs go, and everything. You the value on it is what the dummies place on it. Well, not the dummies, but I guess the consumer, the people.
Let me not shit on my custies.
Yeah, let me not call the consumers dummies and shit. I didn't mean that. Look, but anyway, all I'm saying is that's what would happen. Like right now, we could be in a great position to lower the prices of everything.
Yeah.
But nobody's probably thinking like that. People are probably like, oh shit, I need to pay. No, don't pay shit. So then when they got to renegotiate and come back to the table and say, well, guess what? We don't trust you. Everything seemed to crash when blah, blah, blah happened. You didn't have your shit in order. I was paying $500 a month for my rent or whatever. I think I should be paying $150 because I don't know when this could happen and I need to worry about my finances and my future. You see what I'm saying, right? The prices of everything are dry, and that's how it goes in the drug game.
Yeah.
So if you notice.
This is what I wanted to say about drugs, though, too. And said, all right, so Maya, as far as like people doing drugs and concentrates, whether it be sugar, salt, cocaine, whatever it is, like, what do you think that would take for people to put the drugs down? And you think it would have to be like absolute, like, all right, everything's cut off, and I mean now people just gonna have to forcibly purge or whatever, or you think it's just never gonna happen and people will die before they give up these drugs? You know what I mean? Because I'm really as far as people will die, right? Yeah.
There's definitely gonna be casualties of war. It's not even a question around it.
What do you think?
Let me not say casualties of war, but everything has to move and slide. So yeah, people will die.
What do you think is gonna happen?
There will be blood.
Yeah. What do you think is gonna happen? What do you think is gonna happen though this summer when the heat rises and everybody's inside on top of each other and the starch is boiling and it's turning into alcohol? What do you think? Like, you think like as far I'm saying, like, if everybody's inside and it's locked down through summer, don't you think the crime rate is gonna go up? I don't know. You in Arizona, so I'm like,
powder keg.
I'm thinking like, all right, Maya. So imagine if it was like everybody inside and you had like rolling blackouts or some shit. I don't know, because power be going out in California, when it gets hot. So I know it'd be going out there probably, huh?
Mhm.
Like, what do you think would happen if like because people can't control their temperature, so they can't control their temper. So like, when that shit happens, especially in places like Arizona, Florida, Texas, California in the summer, Alabama, Mississippi, places like that, I feel like it's gonna be Louisiana. I feel like them places is going the crime probably going to skyrocket. Like, you know what I mean? Because people been stuck in their houses, can't do shit, not getting money, and they probably want drugs. They short on drugs. They can't do as much drugs. They can't eat what they want to eat. Like, what do you think? Like, as far as that, like where you are. You think that they'll open this shit back up for the summer, or do you think it'll just be murder?
I think they're trying to. I mean, I feel like because they've already had conversations about like opening certain businesses up, and I think stuff here is like opening up this week, but people don't know how to deal with themselves or what to do with their energies. So, like, they're always going to try to find a means to kind of keep creating the chaos that they're in, whether that's drugs or really whatever. Because I've seen a lot of people like still trying to get drugs right now and like hanging out with people or trying to hook up with people still. And it's like a very, it's interesting to see like where people's minds.
The trap is jumping.
Where people's mindsets are when like the world is basically ending and has been ending for a while, and people are still like driven by their desires and inability to deal with themselves. So that is a problem. That will be a problem for a minute, probably.
So put more fuel on the fire. Like the people that was doing drugs, that momentum just accelerated.
Yeah.
So, man, like, because that's where I'm at. I'm like, man, the government doesn't ever want to take everything away. They want to just take shit away incrementally to where, you won't miss it as the time goes on. You know what I mean? And I think, or you forget that you lost it almost. And like, I think like, will it ever get to that point where people need to grow their own food? Probably not. Only for a small amount of people that really will nut up and be like, fuck it, I'm going to be totally self-sufficient. You know what I'm saying? I don't think too many people going to do that.
But you're either going to have to do that or perish.
Yeah.
If that gets that extreme. It's that simple.
Or just assimilate in this fucking technology, virtual reality bullshit world.
Yeah.
Which is kind of it's perishing, really. I mean, because these motherfuckers want to merge with machines. Do you think that should be? I mean, that's anything.
Well, that's all to be LeBron James.
Yeah, to turn away from black.
That's all that is.
Yeah.
That's all to be what the organic engineering makes some people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like me and my lady, we was watching Mike Tyson today, right? And I said, yo, man, I mean, you can say whatever you want to say, but I ain't never seen a white Mike Tyson, and I don't think I will see one. Like, in my lifetime, I might, but I ain't seen one. You know what I mean? I ain't seen a white Michael Jordan. You ain't gonna see it. Now, the reason you're not gonna see this is because that engineering, it kind of comes with that. It comes with that flavor, like, you know what I'm saying. So it is what it is. But the funny thing is I just think that's what that is. Like how you said, they merging with machines. Yeah, because they want to run and jump that high. It's just that simple. Like it really is. Like you know what I'm saying?
It's just like being on a bench for your whole life. You know, it's like being on a bench your whole life.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know, and guess what? I might, you know, I don't know. You might come back as that. You might go die and come back as that. So I'll be like, damn, man, I don't fucking know, man. I just say, shit, that must suck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because imagine being on that side. Like, where you just like, damn, yo.
I want to be a cyborg.
You know what I'm saying? God damn.
Do you think they did this?
You know what I mean?
You think it'll be successful, Maya, or just a few people maybe?
Wait, what will?
Like transhumanism and people like being cyborgs and having like metal limbs and shit.
They're already doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. But like in a way where, you know, it's cool.
Like where it's like a good thing?
Yeah, like where you like, you know what I'm saying, you basically got your rocket launcher, your jetpack built in. And you know what I mean? Like that like cyborg shit, like Iron Man, like motherfucking Robert Downey Jr. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Yeah, see, no, I just don't think that's like, I don't think that can lead into a good ending, like in the long run, because I don't think that's the point of being on Earth, like trying to be a robot and have that like live forever here. That seems
mechanical immortality.
That's what a lot of people here want to do. They just want to like live forever in some weird way instead of just like understanding what's like already. So yeah, it's probably just gonna be a scary world. So if everyone has to die for like the Earth to reset itself, then that's just what it is.
Now, guess what, Maya? When you say that, I'm glad you said that. I think the only way that can occur is by the Earth doing something. Like right now, this is what always amazes me about the Earth and shit, how it moves like us and how we do different things. Like, okay, you can get a haircut or whatever. Well, that's like the equivalent, but like right now, somewhere, a big chunk of a fucking mountain is just falling off somewhere. Like, I'm talking about like a big chunk. Like, it's like changing the Earth. You know, it's changing the Earth. So that's what I think occurs. And I think like when shit has to reset, like what you're saying, Maya, I think that's what occurs. You know, tsunamis, earthquakes, you know, like shit you can really feel.
So
tornadoes.
Yeah, I feel like it's
yeah, I'm gonna just pick your dumb ass up and toss you over here.
Yeah.
And like I really think that's what happens, and I think that's
you ain't paying attention enough.
Yeah, and you know you can incite those. You know what we're doing. You know, we set off bombs. We do different shit. It changes the makeup of. You know, just think about like if you were like like if the Earth was a body and it's just taking bullets, like you know, bullet to the leg there, bullet to the knee there, like you know what I'm saying, and then eventually. It's not like the bullets can kill it though. Like you know, it's just like hitting it. It's just fucking with it. And then that's that's what I think, man. Mother Nature, man. You see the Katrinas and all of that. You see this shit, man. I don't know, man.
So
I don't know what's coming. Something's coming.
Yeah. So all right, you need to watch that Universal. You need to watch that Universal Disclosure, man. I sent it to Yush, man. I know Maya seen it.
I'm gonna watch it.
Do you think, Maya, that shit is accurate? Because to me, it feels like that's what this is all combating or trying to combat, the natural reset in December. The idea of it, I mean.
Yeah, like you can feel it and see when you just like go, like, I don't know, when I look at like reality or just observe nature or just like looking at the sun, I feel like something's been happening to the sun for a while. And
it
like,
definitely don't look like the sun from
nature's
the 80s.
laws like always show themselves and tries to go back to like Earth's balance, and humans try to like bypass that. And honestly, I'm ready to be wiped out. So
fuck it, I guess.
Like, fuck it. No, definitely. If they gotta go like that, then what are you gonna do, man?
You all go at the same time. There's no worry.
Said, man, what if a big wave just comes through here? Just a big wave, man. There's nothing you can do. Like, just is really like, what the fuck? Like, you grab something and try to hold on, and that's it. Like you know what I mean? So that's funny you say that. But I just think that's what it is when it's catastrophic. I don't think it is man-made, like like a virus or like this right here, or like I don't know. I think when it's coming, you know it's coming. You're like, oh shit, this is what it came down to.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? I think it's like that. Like man up or like turn up or burn up.
That's
right now.
But that's how it feels. Like that's how it feels in my body, yo. It really feels like my body different. It's like, yo, my body really feels different. Like it really feels like it knows more. No, like my body being from the earth and shit, or of the earth or whatever. I feel like it really is in tune, and like just like the animals and shit, where it's like it knows more kind of than my conscious mind knows.
Then what? Yeah, exactly. It's like kind of like pulling you through this shit or whatever. And guess what? Trust me, for instance, think about this. If something catastrophic occurred, like like Katrina or something like that, or like something like that, right? Yo, trust me, they all knew what was happening when it was happening. It wasn't like it got real quick. Like it was like, grab everything, something. This water's rising crazy. Grab the fucking like. It wasn't like, oh, we need them. Is that maybe what's happened? No, trust me, it probably went down. Like it was probably real right away.
Yeah.
Like
you just live.
That's what your body's for. Your body's for that. Like it's made for that.
Yeah.
It's made for that.
It got two nervous systems for a reason. You know what I mean? That shit switch gears on you. Like, all right, we in this one. We're doing this now.
Like I'm telling you, like if there's something very catastrophic, you're gonna know. Trust me. It's not like you're gonna have to question it or be like, is this going down? Like no, you're gonna be like, God damn it, it's going down. This is real. Like,
I'm saying my point being more so like that it's another season of consciousness coming, and it's gonna be a massive shift. And like, I know, like, all right, you mind if we talk about your personal life at all, Nick? Like, what you like? I'm saying nothing. I mean, because like, you got a baby on the way. Yeah. So. Yeah. Like
crazy, right in the coronavirus era. You heard?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
shout out to that.
So you feel like ultimately, like that will to live at some level, like life. I feel like life is aware of everything that you aware of, and life knows what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean? As far as like the energy, it knows like. So for that to be happening, it kind of I guess.
But go ahead.
No, you good. Nah, I'm saying. Nah, like for that to be happening, for you to be, you need to hit the back of the bowl. But no. I'm
trying to raise the phone
up.
Sorry,
listeners. Nah, I'm just saying, like, since you're on course and set for that to happen before the year's over, to have a child, does it make you feel like ultimately, like, the will of life is pushing through, regardless of what happens? Does it make you? Does it reassure you of that?
The baby, listen to this, Maya, Tail. If the baby comes out and everything, God willing, everything's good. Man, it will have been such a journey for the simple fact that I'm in the doghouse right now. I'm standing to y'all talking to y'all right now outside of my crib because we had gotten into an argument there. I don't know what it was, and I'm realizing there's a fight within a fight within a fight within a fight in life.
You are basically married and having kids.
Like,
yeah, you basically
like
married
right
and having
now,
kids in 2020. I'm saying you basically married and having kids in 2020. Like that's wild.
Crazy.
I'm saying that's a fight within a fight within a fight.
Exactly, like you see what I'm saying, like so like when you say like, oh, is it the corona or whatever? No, man, it's other shit that like, man, when like I want the baby to just pop out and be straight and everything, and I swear to God, I already know what I'm going to see because your mama was talking abortion talk. She get mad at me, talk shit, and be like, I don't think you want to do this. I gotta deal with all the time. Yo, you don't even know. This shit is crazy, right? So I'm like I want to see the baby and be like, yo, you made it, yo. You don't even know. There was so many times the plug was about to get pulled on you. Yeah. Like, you know, shit like that.
So the love supersedes it all.
Huh?
The love supersedes it all.
Yeah, she get, man, this shit is real. And see me, I'm such an imaginative, artistic type of girl. She was in the military, you know, she's more stern. She's more boom, 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 get to the point, boom, boom, boom. Me, I'll be like, man, that's boring. You know what I'm saying? That's just boring.
Let's get to the point in an artistic way.
She don't understand. Yeah, like, see, you know what I'm saying? So me, I'm more like, you know, let's make this shit a ride. Let's have some fun and shit while we do this shit. Like you know what I mean? And but at the same time, I'm loyal. You know, I love my girl. You know, but I be like, look, man, shit.
But innately,
enjoy yourself a little bit while this shit is going down because it ain't nothing you can do anyway. Shit.
But innately in your body, you feel like life is going on. It's going to keep going on in your body. Does
Hell yeah, I'm like, look, man, shit. You know, let's get this thing going. Like, you know, like I don't know, man. Yeah, you know, it's a funny thing though. But I'm in this, you know, fear era. You know, everybody got to put the mask on, and all. Oh my God, the baby could be fucked up. You know, I don't want to get the baby sick and this and that and blah blah blah. And all that. And meanwhile, here I am, a dinosaur-minded motherfucker, thinking like, no, man, you kind of need to get touched with some dirty hands sometimes. Don't wash your hands all the time. That's going to make you not less immune. Like, you know what I mean? Like eat that off the floor. Like you know, the 5-second rule, motherfucker. You know, pick that. You know what I mean? This builds your immune system
and your mind,
you know
mind strength. You forge your mind strength.
Go outside, come back with a sore throat and be snotty nose, like, oh shit, something got in me. And then next thing you know, the next day you get a little stronger and shit. You know, and I think less and less of that is what you're saying. And it's like, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, like, or even think about the craziness with people. Oh, did you wash your hands when you came out the bathroom? Shit, Don King said it best. They look at him like he's crazy. That motherfucker said, I washed my hands before I touched my dick. Why would I wash my hands after?
Yeah, I mean,
like you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm really trying to be sanitary and I'm worried about, I'm not washing my hands after I come out the bathroom. I wash them before I even went to the bathroom because I don't want to touch my dick, right, with my dirty hands, right?
Yeah, you touched a bunch of stuff. I mean,
so guess what? Nobody even looks at it that way. So guess what, man? It's all a joke.
It's already fucked up because I mean we all wearing shoes. I mean I like fashion. I like fashion, but we all wearing shoes, man. Like it's already kind of like fucked up.
You wearing shoes, you wearing clothes. You know, it's already been diluted, man. Like, you know, like so I say at this point, man, just shut the fuck up. Like, see, that's right.
Or go off grid. Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up because at this point we all addicts and shit. Don't you get it?
Yeah, to something. I mean, all right. So for me and Maya, we both single.
Sorry, guys.
We both single. No, it's funny. Maya, what do you think dating in 2020 is gonna look like? I mean, I already know, or 2020 and beyond. I mean, I already know how it is now. It's basically pretty much digital. Instagram is like classy Tinder. So like what? So what do you think? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you think it'll be the dystopia that I was talking about, where they're like, "Hey, we're a match," almost like Black Mirror. Like, we're a match. The world said we're a match, so we have to be together. Like, or is it going to still be like some human will in there, or what? Like, how do you think this is going with dating from here on out? People going to be like, "I need you to get corona tested."
Right. Yeah. I mean, probably a little bit of both. I think it depends on like the people involved and what they want out of dating and a relationship. And most people want the surface level things. So the dating apps and the internet and that shit will be great for them. And even the virus thing that you said, like the vaccine and stuff, like I've seen people already have, the divide if they're going to get one or not, and how many people that are willing to get the vaccine. And like you can kind of already tell, like we've already been there, so it'll just get amplified and be the Black Mirror episode. And hopefully there's people out there who can be an example of like real unions, I guess, but who knows.
Yeah, I always wonder with that, like, where else can it go? You know what I mean? As far as the ideas of things, you know what I mean? It's all kind of getting repeated now. It kind of does seem like a reset needs to happen. And I don't know how an anti-vax person could be with a vax person as far as the ideals. You know what I mean? That would take some crazy, like, love. I don't even know how that's possible. You know what I mean? Having kids and all that and stuff. I don't even know how you could, especially after this. Like, I don't even know how that could go down. And, like...
See, here's my thing, right? I'm like, so I don't know how it's going to be when the baby finally come out and shit. But I know for a fact, I'll be like, don't be shooting nothing up in. And I wonder how that's going to go.
It's going to be a divide if she's not. It's going to make you, you know what I mean? It's going to be a divide if she's not cool with that. That's going to be a crazy.
No, I think she'll be cool with it. I just think they're going to try to make us look like it's against the law or something.
Yeah, they was already trying to do that. Yeah. It's just, it's wild.
Like, you can't leave the hospital unless you do or something crazy.
You're going to have to have a home birth.
And I'm like, I think she'd be with it. I think she'd be cool. If the baby comes out looking good, crying, looking normal and shit. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, bang. You know what I mean? But, I don't know, man. I'm so like,
why don't you have a home birth?
That shit. They can't go to school and all that.
Yeah, I mean, everything's going to be online anyway in a minute here.
Yeah, like, now. Yeah, now.
But, like, so you think that you would have a home birth?
Man, I'm thinking that. I'm thinking they can, shit, that baby gonna come out anywhere. You know what I'm saying? If that baby is who I think it is, that baby about to be something special. like that's what if the baby who I think it is. So I think the baby going to just come out somewhere crazy.
It's funny because I want to ask I know I pretty much I guess assume that Maya would have, if she was to do that, probably have natural birth. But at the same time I want to ask, like, so how would you go about doing it? But then at the same time it's like, all right, I know that's like kind of like your escape route and you can't really snitch on yourself. So you know what I mean? It's like, all right, like, if I ask you how you would go about doing it, you kind of have to say, like, your ideas and the way you would do it. And I guess it does give up, it kind of makes you vulnerable, I guess, in a sense, huh? Like, because if you say, like, yeah, I would have the baby this way at my mom's house or whatever, they go, you know what I mean? With the way shit is tracked now, I guess it would, kind of go against it. But let's just say hypothetically, where would you like to have a child if you did have a child? Would you have home birth? Would you stay in your state that you're from? Would you leave the country?
I would want a home birth. I don't know, like, where that would be, like, not in the house I'm in right now, but, yeah, it would be, like, a natural home birth, and, like, I've kind of always felt that way. If I could leave the country and I had, like, a cool place to go to, that would be dope, but, I feel like the environment really matters, and, like, I couldn't go to a hospital. I just don't want to be in that environment because I'm sensitive myself already. So I would have to be comfortable. I would have to find someone that I trust. I don't trust any of my family members with that. So, like, it would be a process in itself to figure out how I would go about it, but definitely as, like, natural as possible.
So, all right. Okay, so like as
You
far
know that's the name. You know that's the name of my baby. Look, that's the first time we reveal it on the podcast. Shit, I'm wilding. That's the name of my baby. It's going to be Natural. But the funny thing is, I mean, I was born in a hospital. You were born in a hospital right there. I know it ain't but I'm like, shit, I don't know. I mean, I would love to do it like that. I just don't know how this shit really works. It's my first time. Shit.
yeah,
I really don't know.
you just really
how
gotta
it works,
you
so
just gotta study, yo. You gotta study.
I mean, like, goddamn. I mean, shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can imagine it's very simple.
Yeah.
It's just like what we know it to be. Like, she pushes and the baby comes out, and it's probably a process, and it, and here's the baby.
I mean, them 9 months.
I
feel like them 9 months. If they're stressful, then the pregnancy would probably be stressful. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not, especially if you're not taking care of your body, eating crap or whatever. If you're stressed out, not eating well, you're probably gonna have a stressful labor. So like, I feel like
that's what I'm trying to get her off of right now.
Yeah,
shit.
It's wild to think about that though, yo. Like to think about like anybody pregnant right now. Like Simone, I know she a G though. You know what I mean? She military chick. Like, I just feel like the average person that is pregnant right now, average female that's pregnant right now, like the stress that would come from that and like what that would do, just to be in this environment of fear right now, having you know what I mean, going through that like.
Man, we don't even. It's funny. We're not really on it like we like yo, like we got T-shirts made and shit. I think I got a T-shirt made for you and shit.
With the birthday?
Like, I'm not even worried about this shit. Like,
because you black.
I just want the baby to make it. Like, you made it. You came through to the other side. It's in the portal now. It's in that portal stage.
Yeah. It's like, no. It's
So,
loading.
Yeah, like, oh, you made it. Look, now you about to have a life. This shit about to get real now.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen that thing, man, that Trump said he's going, he's trying to have 600 million vaccines produced by the end of the year.
Yeah, guess what? They're just gonna be like before, though. Like,
no, I know. I'm just saying.
Just gonna wiggle their way around that.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm saying, but this is my point as far as like this shit is all gearing up for this solstice. It feels like. You know what I mean? For the natural reset I'm talking about. And like, it's funny you name your kid Natural. The natural reset would be December. So, December 21st, supposedly. So, if that happens, right, and, you got a bunch of people going that way, I mean, it's wild because, I don't know if y'all I know y'all might not be as glued to the tube as me, but I don't know if you've seen, like, Robert Kennedy Jr. and Dr. Shiva's testimonies as far as, they're, like, some of the biggest figureheads in the anti-vaccine movement. So, like, they're going at it right now against each other, and it looks like they're gonna probably cancel each other out and not get anything done. And like, I feel like, and then Trump trying to push this shit through. I don't know if he's just because he kicked Bill Gates and the WHO. He's cut the funding off for them. Like, he told them he don't want to deal with them no more. You know what I mean? Basically said like, no nerds, I'm gonna get some other nerds to do this shit. You know what I mean? So I think he wanted to get some nerds that he knew to do it, right? But ultimately, I just wonder if it's like a chess piece, if he's doing that to be like, look, if I don't try to manufacture a vaccine, they're going to hang me. So I got to do this, you know what I mean, and kind of just leave the door open for the people that do want it, or if it will be mandatory vaccines, because, the census is happening right now, and they're really trying to census us. You know what I mean? They're trying to, find out who is everybody, who is where they are, where are you at, and who are you? And like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? So it seems like they're definitely trying to get their finger on the beat of things. And like, as far as like mandatory vaccines go, how do you think that would even go? And do you think it'd be people snitching and everything like that, like with the mandatory vaccines? They're probably right, because it seems like almost like the Holocaust in a sense. Like, you almost kind of like the untouchable, like where they like, you know what I mean, like you not one of the chosen people if you don't get the vaccine, like you're not eligible to participate in society or live. So like, it seems like that's kind of the way they wanted to go, and I wonder, with this shit happening, man. It seems like a huge contrast between like the supernatural being like, I guess, supernatural human living would be like breatharianism, and then the super unnatural would be transhumanism. And I guess it feels like the divide is so crazy right now, like how it's just going, splitting so crazily right now. Because I always said, like, man, as soon as I start getting momentum in this world, the world probably gonna end because the shit I'm saying is pretty destructive for the establishment. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, be careful what you wish for and shit. Because I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, it's really, I have to nut up or shut up now. You know what I mean? And
well, I mean, it's always gonna come down to I don't know, like I just be like, yeah, I mean, like if it goes, I don't know, man, if it gets real bad, like I say, like what Book of Eli and shit, or like it gets real bad.
I Am Legend shit.
I don't know, like what I mean. I don't know. I'd be like, well, I think people will come together more than and then it'll start over again. You'll see, like.
Do you think?
I don't know.
Do you think that there's gonna be an alien invasion, Maya? I know you've seen the shit, the alien shit, right?
I don't rule it out. Like, yeah.
Do you think it would be like they'll look like us, like the movie Us?
I didn't see that.
Oh, all right. The movie Us, right? There's a whole world, right, that exists above ground, and then there's like a bunch of clones that live below ground, and then at some date they all come up, and then they kill their counterparts because like only one of them can survive. So I wonder, like, you know what I mean? Is that you think like the aliens would come and look like humans, and then they would be like us, and they would, you know what I mean? It would be like a war, and that would bring people together, or it's just bedlam.
I mean, shit, maybe it could be like that, but I also feel like if there has been like interactions with aliens already, and like I feel like they've been using humans for something for a reason, so whatever like their form is probably not like us, but maybe they can imitate it. I don't know, like I feel like all of the possibilities are there, and it kind of depends on what people do now and how that kind of unfolds and how successful that gets.
Yeah, because I mean, you've seen that they released that UFO footage.
Right. Yeah. So something's gonna happen. Hope it's interesting.
Yeah. At least let it be entertaining and not a mundane apocalypse. but like you see, are you familiar with No Forest on Flat Earth?
No.
All right, basically all the mountains and the what do they call them? I forget what they call it. But like the mountains of the world, or like how they got the Devil's Tower and different things like that look like they are tree stumps of massive trees that used to exist. And how and if you go to, I know you from Arizona, you live in Arizona, you're from Arizona, how they got petrified forests out there. Like basically saying that used to be crystal trees. Like everything used to be like crystal forests all over the world. And like in Sedona used to be all massive crystal trees that people used to live in, like Avatar. You know what I'm talking about? Like you seen Avatar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea with the flat earth thing, and I know you've probably seen Universal Disclosure, that there's a tree of life at the North Pole that is like, I guess, shielded by a toroidal field or a Van Allen belt, whatever, like a energetic electromagnetic field that you can only get in if you like matching that vibration, and everybody is within different realms. Like we're in the moon, we're like our moon and the sun is a realm. Above us is the Mercury realm. Below us is Mars and Venus, and all the way out is Saturn and Jupiter. So like Saturn is the sun, Jupiter is the moon, Mars is the sun, Venus is the moon, Apollo is our sun, Artemis is the name of our moon, Mercury is androgynous, and that's basically they're saying like that's the Garden of Eden or whatever, right? And so deep within that core, I guess, of the North Pole, they're saying like that's the still on the top though is the tree of life. And so all these other trees, like all these mountain ranges that we call mountain ranges are really just ancient root systems of massive trees, and everything was bigger. Like, all that. I mean, everything really was bigger though, as far as the animals. It got the biggest things got killed and poached first. So the rhinos, everything was bigger at one point. So it's like it kind of is in line with things as far as that. Like, even if you believe in dinosaurs or not, or the timeline on dinosaurs or not, like it seems like everything would have to have been bigger. It had to have been a greater view of the light spectrum to house a larger life. And so with that said, I'm basically saying like the different realms, or like the different echelons that we got here, like do you think that like the outer lands, or extraterrestrial land or whatever, like do you think that that's just other people that are in other, I guess, parts of the quantum field, and that if this shit does open on December 21st, that it'll be a flood, or a flood of light, where basically you can traverse the whole everything, and then there will be giants that live in the outer realms coming in, and then a bunch of everything, all the potential for life being here in this opening of time or whatever. Like, do you think that would, how do you see that playing out if that's what's going to happen? Because to me, the globular model, or the globe model, I really feel like, I mean, with NASA having killed Gus Grissom and all those people that they've murdered, and them doing green screen and zero-G planes, and using virtual reality lenses, contact lenses to interface with things that are supposedly in zero gravity, like all that type of things, like all of that pretty much destroys NASA's credibility. So obviously they're hiding something as far as the nature of the world we live on, because
NASA. Niggas ain't supposed to be astronauts. Go ahead.
No, I mean, NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. So like, it's like, it literally, I mean, it means that NASA or whatever it means to deceive. So I'm just saying, like, do you think this is like outlandish? I guess that's funny. It's a pun, outlandish. But like, do you think that it'll be an invasion of other humans of different potential, or all the humans will be the same, or will the playing field be leveled, or what here? Because it seems like this is Revelations. Like in Revelations, I always wanted to paint that shit, like literally, like some of the images described, because it's horses and all types of shit like that, and dragons and all that, and I'm just like, man, like this is kind of it right here, like as far as like the build up to it, and like I wonder if it'll be a bunch of species and beings that will be housed in the light spectrum once this thing expands, supposedly. Once that happens, and that'll be like Revelations. Like I feel like we're living in Revelations right now. Like, I don't know how y'all feel, but that's kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. Hey, what's happening, Susan? It's I don't know, man. I be thinking like more so like as far as aliens and things, man. I was watching the show yesterday about there was different octopuses, and it was in somewhere, and they showed an octopus, and I thought to myself, I even said to my lady, I said, yo, what's the difference of that and seeing the alien right there? Like if you saw that right there in the water, there's no difference. So I'd be like, nah, I don't think aliens should exist. I think we are those. I think they're all around us. I think dinosaurs, like what you were saying, like if a rhino walked into your area, you'd be like, this feels like a dinosaur is around me right now.
Or a giant squid, giant squid.
Yeah, if it just came into your realm, into your little world, and shit, you in the water swimming, you go underwater for a second, and they see you surrounded by this huge octopus. Like I'm talking about, its arms is all huge, and it's huge, and it's like engulfing you. Trust me, it ain't gonna feel no different. You're gonna be like, damn, I've been out of this. Feel like I've been out of space with an alien. You know what I'm saying? Like because the water is out of space too. You know what I'm saying? The ocean and all that. So
yeah,
it's funny, man. Like I look at it and I say, no, man. It's just ideas that have come through us. the ideas of spaceships and aliens and all of that. Of course, you have that idea. You are it. Think about yourself in this world, how you function. Jump in this little thing like the Jetsons and shit. Jump in this little thing, it drives you on the pavement and all of that. Like, we are the aliens. Like it's pretty obvious. You know what I'm saying? And then you got like like insects. You see an insect and be like, God damn, this shit look like an alien.
Yeah.
It should be there. Why? How come all the aliens in the movies look like insects?
I mean, art depicts life. Art depicts life, right? Life depicts art.
Yeah, life depicts art. Art depicts life. So you having these ideas because you kind of are it and shit. I always tell people, if you didn't know they were fingers, what's the difference in calling them tentacles? Or they even call them what? Phalanges. What are your fingers?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes,
you see what I'm saying? Like if you didn't know it, this shit would look kind of crazy to you. Like, what are these fucking little dwindling things off the bottom of your feet that they call toes or whatever? Like, it's just you call it that. You see what I'm saying? Like, so no, hell no. Like, that's why we have all these ideas of how they look. And oh my God, this is what the aliens look like and shit. But meanwhile, it look like something you see all the time. Every goddamn time, it look like a cross between a fish and a goddamn lobster and a motherfucking man and a fucking. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You are a god. Hurry up with my damn massage. like you know what I'm saying? Like, people are crazy, man. People are crazy. Like, you are the alien. Think about your whole life and how you function.
Yeah. Nah,
you are the alien.
Honestly, the body itself just feels like this is the player of this realm.
You just come out and now you're able to get oxygen and talk and walk and do all this shit. You are the fucking alien.
It just it seems like the body is just like, okay, this is the agreed upon characters that we can play in this dimension.
Yeah, and then there's all different types. You get animals and shit like that. Well, I guess we call them animals or whatever. But I mean, they're species and there's things just hopping around. Like, think about it. If you didn't know what a dog was called, you didn't even know none of that. And it's this four-legged thing just hopping across the planet. Like, like what the fuck? Get out of here!
Yeah,
it's a joke. You know what I'm saying?
So, as far as the God thing,
what it is.
As far as the God thing, though. Like,
hurry up with my damn
what is y'all viewpoints on God, and do you feel like it's a day of reckoning and that everything in the darkness comes to the light and all that type of shit, and everything, there is an order. It got to be an order. I mean, it's obviously an order here, a pattern to life. So what do y'all think about God, as far as, Judgment Day or whatever like that? Like, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of mini judgment days.
We might have to end it on this one.
All right, yeah, we could we can end it on this one. But I'm just saying, like, as far as this shit, man, as far as this God shit, like, do you feel like there's ramifications for actions? You know what I mean? Like, as far as that goes, you know what I mean? Or is it like just all inside out and you just judge yourself? You know what I mean?
I'll let mine go. I'll just talk.
I think there's like a cause and effect for what you do, and there's like I don't know if it's like what most people think God is, like it being one specific type of energy or like just one thing that knows everything and is the thing that judges you at the end of it all. But there is like, I don't know, it just goes back to nature. I feel like if you go against nature, then your life will kind of reflect that, and how you go out will be seen in the afterlife, whatever happens after that. But I don't think there's like a specific image to attach to God or anything.
Okay.
I agree. Like,
do you think, I'm saying, but do you think
agree.
God is giving you like basically a seat at the table? Like, look, this is life. You can view it from from a seat at the table, or is it pretty much like, look, I'm giving you some will, and you can build your seat. You know what I mean? And live your life according to nature or not. And it's your choice, or do you think it's like ordained in like the universal process and like, you know, maybe in one lifetime you total demon, and in your next lifetime you spend that whole lifetime reversing the energy.
Well, either or. I think you're right. I mean, like when you put it that way, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense too. You know what I'm saying? I just think like God might actually be us, and we never really kind of like pay it no mind. Like when I mean us, those like all of us, like the dogs I just mentioned, and the ants that are in the plants right now, where I'm standing outside of my front area right now, my front door, and then there's plants next to me, and there's electricity flowing, and there's. So I think like I'd be like, look, I think God is like any manifestation to like we're the messengers of the message, which is like okay, picture this. This shit gonna sound so stupid. Picture this like a nut about to bust. That's why nuts bust like they bust. and you know, I'm a reference to like your book, you know, like Busted, like I didn't read it or nothing, but that's the real truth of the build up and then an explosion. So that's why I be thinking like, oh shit. Sometimes I think about the Big Bang Theory, and I say that might be kind of true in a way, but you're never going to know it because you're just kind of like born out of it, and you don't really know that it was an explosion. Like, for instance...
Yeah, it's kind of the North Pole thing. Like, it's a pole banging Mother Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like...
Yeah. Like, well, you know, it's funny because I think that, like, you know, it's just it's a culmination of energy that makes you, right? But really, it's that thing that's trying to express itself, and that might be God, right? And the best way it can express itself is by making shit like you, and the dogs and the plant, like it's like when you're so happy you can't seem to put it in words. You're so happy that you just want to jerk your body or some shit.
Yeah.
You can't. Your body just start jerking.
Just so inspired by energy.
Like you know what I'm saying? They call it catching the Holy Ghost or whatever. You might start talking, right? It's literally this thing. I feel like that kind of came before you, maybe. And it's total creation. So it created you, created all of, you know, or however it works. I don't know. But I think it's it trying to say, I'm the shit. like, and you should thank me and shit. Like, I'm the shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's just like when you're so happy or you're trying to explain something, but you can't get it out. But you got this feeling. And you're like, yo, well, I think the feeling has that feeling. Like, how can I do this? And it's such a strong energy that it can create humans. It can create plants and shit, you know, and all types of other shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's just it's a domino effect. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't know, man, the earth is an amazing thing. Like, it's that amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I be thinking. It's that amazing. Like, when they talk about all of this shit, the flat earth and all of that, I totally think the earth's flat. I've been thinking that shit since I was 8 years old. From the time I said, damn, it's like a big table. Earth is like a big table, and the trees and all of that coming off, it's like cups and shit. You know, like when you sit a cup down or whatever. Oh, this is how tables are made. Oh, the table of contents. Oh, like it all kind of ties in. So boom. With that being said, this motherfucker's so big and vast that nobody has seen the end of it. That's how amazing this shit is.
There's literally no images. They're all composite images. There's literally no images of Earth.
Yeah, like that's where you come from. All that energy and space just hitting each other creates beings, creates shit. You know what I'm saying? All that energy and space just hitting each other.
Particle collision.
It's like, so, like, for instance, right? Here's my other theory. Right now, I think in the earth and shit like that, we're moving so fast. The earth is moving so fast right now that we're in a state of suspension. Once you hit that hyperspeed, just like that's where we're at.
Moving fast is like not moving.
Yeah, like that. It has to be that way because the energy has to collide to make you.
It's like a paradox. Yeah, I'm saying
the energy has to collide to do that, to create something.
So
you see what I'm saying? So I think the earth is moving. Like they be like, oh, the earth's moving. No, the earth's moving so fast that if it stopped, it would be destroyed. It had to build up such a momentum to make a pop. Basically, like when you busting a nut, right? When you fucking and shit, you be you know
it's the whirlwind.
Well, guess what? The earth did the same thing to create itself, and it's moving that fast. It's moving that fast that we're literally standing still.
All right.
Like we're in a state of suspension. It's going that fast because everything has to lean against each other.
So y'all are
if it doesn't lean against each other in the right way, it's done. Period.
Y'all are creatives. So would you say, like, because they always say God had to reduce itself into forms to experience itself, because oneness can't experience itself. It has to be reduced into fragmented pieces to experience itself. So you think that through creation or reduction of infinity into finite or finitude, do you think, like, through your personal experiences, for both of y'all, I'm asking, like when you create, when for you, I know, you created a bunch of different things, both of y'all, and like you are at this point where you've participated or aligned and created on a level of ushering in a child now. So do you feel like through that experience of creation that you have experienced yourself more completely and God, and that those are the same things?
I'll let you go, Mike.
So what's the question?
All right, so through creation, whatever it is that you create, I asked my brother about like having a child because I was saying like through that process of creation, did he feel like he experienced himself fully? He observed, he was able to experience himself fully, and what is that experiencing of yourself? And through creation, is that experiencing God? You know what I mean? And whether it be a child or if you're knitting a sweater, you know what I mean? Through that rhythm of creation, you're experiencing yourself. You know what I mean? Because like I guess ultimately the creator, everything it creates is a reflection of itself, and it's kind of like shows it itself in its state. So to you, do you feel like when you go through those processes of creation that you're experiencing God or experiencing yourself more fully, and if that's separate from God or the same thing?
I don't think it's separate from God, so I would say that's like the closest thing to getting to know God on a personal level, because like the process of it, most of the time you feel a little crazy, or like the buildup of energy and you don't know why. Sometimes you don't even know what you're creating. Like it's like a happy accident that happens, and you have to trust the process. You have to like surrender and go through all of that. So I would say like the process of creation probably is the closest thing that
to experiencing God,
you knowing.
Yeah. So
yeah, I just wanna, like I said, I just want the baby to make it through, so I could be like, oh shit, you made it through the vacuum. See, right now it's in the vacuum.
Yeah.
Like,
so what?
And then it's gonna get that explosion.
What do you think? Like, what do you think that we control? Because like, do you think that like ultimately like you could have went your life without having that child? Do you think that there's any control, or is this an illusion of control?
When you say that, I just say, well, I guess not, man. It is kind of what you make it. Like, oh man, you know what's so funny? It probably is an illusion of control. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look back on your life and you read it like a book, you'll be like, God damn, look, this happened and then this happened and boop, boop, boop. Like, you see what I'm saying? So you're always thinking like, yeah, I'm controlling this jet. But like, probably not. not. Like you know, like it's probably so many footsteps step before you that it's so hard to break the rhythm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, like, what do you
think? But as far as what you saying, like, could I have controlled it? Yeah, I did. I controlled it for a lot of years and shit. And then.
Do you think that you could have escaped this life? Do you think you could have escaped this life, though? Do you think you could have escaped this life without that?
Probably not. But then at the same time, it ain't occurred yet. They still got to make it past the finish line.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, you know, it's not like what everybody thinks right now. Because, like I say, you know, my girl, she had a miscarriage and shit before. You know what I'm saying? So I'm at that point where I'm like, yo, just make it to the finish line. Make it across the finish line. Like, and be straight, you know. That's what I realized the real test is. That's what's going to be the real test from here on out.
Yeah.
With all of this bad food and shit, you know.
Yeah, you gotta really,
that's going to be the real test. Are they going to make it past the finish line?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, because even when you have the kids, it's not like you can control them. All you can do is like just be a clear pattern for them, because like you kind of don't have control. Like at some level, like you said, you kind of like, you know. Like accepted,
especially like kind of at this stage. Like I'm like, man, it's really. I mean, it's in her body. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be like, damn. And yeah, I'll be trying to keep her stress free and shit. You know, trying to get it. You know, it's just. But it is funny how, like that's where I'm at. And I'm like, yo, let's toast with it. You know, like I remember when we got the last ultrasound. We had kind of got into it. She was mad that I wasn't as excited as I guess I should be. But I'm just so at a point where I'm like, I just want to see the baby come out and be like a baby. Like, you know, like, oh, you made it. Like, that's really it. Like I done seen so much shit where it could be otherwise and different things. You know, the way I say, man, just make it to the fucking finish line.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
You know,
yeah, you went
like,
going
you
through,
know,
went through the ring.
You know, that's really it. Like, you know,
completion.
That's really it. You know, I can't wait to see though, because I think if it does, you know, God willing, I think maybe make it to the finish. I think it's gonna be a special motherfucker. Like, got some good people around him or her, whoever.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So I'm like, damn, that's the real truth about this shit. The real truth about this shit is, man, every day is a fight.
Yeah.
I mean, like, not a fight, but like every day is like, you're like, oh my God, you're on eggshells. Like God damn,
it's
like
just
it's a lot of shit to go into this.
Seems like it just becomes more.
Thinking, oh, okay.
Seems like it becomes more imperative. Seems like it becomes more imperative to be present. Like it's like that's the challenge. Like, cause like it's like you said, man. Like, you know, drinking, smoking, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like it takes you away from being present, and that shit like demands more and more presence every day. Like,
like I'm done. I already know it in my body. You know, like that. Wow, this is what I needed. I'm about to be done with everything. Like for a while.
Because you don't want to set that example, like, that pattern.
Drinking and smoking, you know.
You can't leave
do
that.
Everything. It's not like I'm sitting over here doing rails.
Mainliner.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's just, yeah, man. Like, I already know it. Like, it's just probably what happened to my dad. Same shit. And that's when you realize, damn, you're right. It is probably illusions of, like, you're about to change the wheel. But you're not about to change the wheel.
Yeah. You really gotta, you really just gotta set a clear pattern, man. That's the tough part, to really be like an embodiment and not have to say so much, so they can just see it. So you have to really set like a clear pattern and be like an embodiment, so you don't have to say so much, so they can just understand it because they see it living.
You don't say so much, you just lead by your action and shit.
They
you know what I mean?
It exudes off you.
Saying a whole lot.
Yeah. Shit, man. I don't know. I guess like ultimately, you know, what do you have control over? And I mean, definitely your fucking breath. It'd be like, to me, I would always say that's paramount. But
that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, all that shit change your breath. You know what I mean? Drinking, smoking, it's like experiencing the breath another way.
Exactly. I mean, all alternate a railroad track that's going off to the right now. To, you know.
So you about to jump off the phone?
You know, if y'all clean and shit, stay clean. Shit, I'm about to get off this phone. I gotta go get in trouble.
All right.
Wife.
All right, I got like three more questions left. I'm gonna run through her then, and then I guess I'll let you go, man. It's good talking to you, bro. Always, man. My actual brother. My actual brother.
Time and shit, I'm sorry.
You're good.
No, you got a great voice, and do you have a boyfriend? Thing like that?
No.
Oh, you probably need one. Well, not need one, but I mean, there's probably a bunch of people that's interested in shit. But anyway, be good. Sit out there in Arizona. Don't get too wasted and shit. Do you drink or smoke?
I smoke like weed, but
smoke that weed, huh? Me too, though. I've been smoking weed all crazy lately. It's fucking crazy, man. Like, but I know I'm about to stop all this shit.
It's crazy, like how I turned into my dad, and I'm a square, and I don't drink or smoke no more. Like, it's like we can't do this shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is funny because like I'm about to be there with you. Like I know it. I'm about to be there with you. Shit, like, cause this shit. I can't have my little one and shit. Look at they be like, oh man, this is cool. We just can drink this shit called Hennessy. That's what we drink. Well, no.
Yeah. How you know what Henny is? I mean, it's always in a recycling bin.
They'll be like, it's always there. But yeah, no, man. I just look at it like, man, take it 1 second at a time. I'll be trying to look at shit.
Yeah, you just gotta breathe sometimes, man. Just
exactly. That's where the breathing and shit, come into play. Then you're gonna come down to your last breath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the funny thing about life. It'd be like, damn, that was it. That was his last breath or her last breath.
And that was the measurement of life or death.
That's the real truth, like so. And you get right. You probably get so many, and then you tame them. You know what I mean? Like you be smart. I be smart. I'm thinking that all the time.
It's like your debit card.
I'm like, how many breaths I just took away right now? You know what I mean? Of my life. Like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, it really is the
real.
credit. Yeah, man. I guess I'll let y'all go, man. I'll let you go. Like I said, I'm gonna ask her like a couple more questions, but should be easy, you know what I mean? I know you a married man over there.
I'm in the shower. I'm saying all this shit on the podcast. It's hilarious.
It's real. It's a real.
Yeah, man. It was good meeting you, Maya.
Me too.
Nice meeting you. Yeah, we gotta do it again this shit on a different type of note.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We just talk about dumb shit. Like on the next one or something. I don't know.
Yeah, y'all can set up the questions.
We got heavy.
I was militant with the questions.
We got heavy on this one. Hey, but it's always fun though. Shit.
Yes, sir, man. Oh yeah, but yeah, nah. So all right, brother, my actual brother, because people be always trying to say, I see your friend.
That's your actual brother.
Yeah, but nah, shit. All right, yo.
Like you have to specify, like actual brother.
I can't say bro because they're gonna think it's just
that could be anybody.
That we just wear flip flops together.
Yeah, that could be a long time friend.
Yeah. It's anything.
It's funny though because I think anybody that really knows us, like somebody said to me the other day, they heard you. Oh, what? See, that's how jumbled my mind is. And she was like, yo, y'all sound exactly like, she heard you on the phone and stuff. She's like, that's like the longest I probably heard him talk. And y'all was talking, we was talking, I had you on the speaker. And she was like, damn, I get it now. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, you get it, yo. We're like the prestige out here. We live the trick. We live the magic. On that note, I'm about to get off this phone.
All right, Joe. We twins. We like a slim punning Fat Joe.
You ever seen the Prestige?
What was it?
Have you ever seen The Prestige? It's a
No.
movie. Watch it. Watch it. You'll love that movie. You'll love that movie. These niggas, I'm excuse me, let me see, look, I'm so hip hop now. These guys, man, they was living and breathing that shit. You seen it, Tail, right? We used to watch it all the time. The Prestige.
They was living that life.
Dope. And they even mentioned Tesla in that movie. Remember, he came, remember?
Some stuff. They're like magicians, right?
The two magicians.
Yeah.
Or like Christian Bale or something.
Yeah. I remember that they was living the trick because they were twins and they would live in the trick. That's how you gotta do this shit.
Me, you, and Casey really is like twins. Like, she my twin, I'm your twin. Like, in a lot of ways, like inside out.
It's like kind of like it's like that in a way. Like
she born exactly on the other side of the year than me, but she like the female version, and I'm like the inside out yin and yang version of you. It's funny.
It's funny, like it's like a long tentacle. See, that's what I'm saying. Squids and octopus and shit. Like they be looking like sperm and shit.
Yeah, just like the spine.
It's deep, man. Like it's all connected and shit. But anyway.
Yeah.
Let me get up here. I'm gonna get in the shower.
All right, my G.
Maya, good night, brother. Who's your crazy ass?
Yeah, you know I'm nuts. But
I'm about to say, what is it like? 11 o'clock there? I don't know.
It's 10:07.
Man, all right. It was great. This was great.
Yeah, I think they'll like this one. Yeah, I think they'll like this one. I'm seeing that Maya's still recording, so we should be good.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Signing off, Nick Flair and this motherfucker, man. Live and direct. You know what it is, GMC. Get to the money, you motherfuckers.
All right. Yes, sir.
All right, Maya.
All right.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
Rest well.
All
right, Joe.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
Later.
So, yo,
what's up?
All right, cool. I was like, oh damn, I lost them both somehow. But no, I guess all I had left was I was like, yo, do you think politics are real, or do you think it's the collective subconscious, or do you think it's just regulated by the zodiac? I know you all zodiacal, all types of zodiacal.
Yeah, I think it's always a mixture of factors. I don't think they're real. I mean, they're real to other people's perspective, politics, but like, other than that, it's just another part of the game that I don't really tune in too much, because it just, like, if you watch the news and even how Donald Trump speaks, it's just like reality TV at this point.
That shit is hilarious, man. He really is just out there with his dick in his hand, firing out anything, because he doesn't know how to read, so he doesn't have a teleprompter. But at some level, it's like, man, Obama had a teleprompter the whole time. Was anything he was saying real, or was he just reading? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the other side of the coin. Like, what would you want? Would you rather a dude just with his dick in his hand, or would you rather somebody like reading everything and not know if it's real or just rhetoric, and he was just groomed? Like,
right. I think that's why Trump needed to become president, for like the Matrix crumbling. Like, I was like fearful and upset about it when it first happened, but like to get a clearer reality of like where people's consciousness is and what they accept and what they actually believe, Trump was a good example of like reflecting that.
Yeah, it's really wild to see it, because it's so layered, and I guess the more that you look into it, the more distracted you become anyway. So it's kind of like, it's tough. It's kind of like what Denzel said. He was like, if you pay attention to it, you're misinformed, but if you don't pay attention to it, you're uninformed. So it's kind of like fuck do you do? You know what I mean? Like, it's a tough one, man. Because I feel like there is always truth to it. It's just like you got to really know how to decode shit. You know what I mean? Because so many tabloids and headlines and stuff, I feel like, wow, they're really saying more than what they're saying here, but only a few people. And that's why we'll get it. And that's why I feel like they kind of are probably communicating with each other. You know what I mean? Because they're like, okay, this is a way that we can talk without having to talk and have emails get hacked and have phones getting hacked because, you know, all that's hackable. So it's kind of like a way to talk without talking. Like, we released this headline. You guys know the code. You'll know how to see this for what it is and decipher it and see, like, how, you know, what we're really getting at by this, you know, certain things. And, like, that's kind of why I keep, like, alluding to, like, man, this is really looking like the next season of Consciousness with the December 21st thing and Martin Kinney and all that. And I don't know. I know you into the Zoo Circle. You know the Zodiac. So I figured maybe you have some insight on that, like how regulated politics are by it.
I'm not as informed on that side of the spectrum as I'd like to be, honestly, but like I know it does play a factor, and when you get into like Vedic, you can kind of see more of the parallels and stuff with politics and how like literally everything like was kind of set in stone a long time ago. So we're just like kind of finally at the point where everything's coming to the surface before whatever ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff does seem preordained. I guess my metaphor for it is kind of like the movie is what it is. You know, you kind of just pick your seat in the movie theater, I guess. Because I don't know,
right.
You know what I mean? And I guess ultimately that changes the angle of the movie and how you see it, you know, and the quality of it. So, I guess that's it for me. I don't know if you know me, had anything that you want to say. I know you kind of, I guess, humble mumble over there, man, and you know, you not much of a, from my experiences, you're not much of a talker, but I know other people probably know you as a talker. So I don't know if there's anything else that you could say or want to say about anything. I don't know, you know what I mean? How you, even if you have some shots you want to fire at me, how I should operate differently or whatever, you know what I mean? It's real candid right now. You can let me have it. It's kind of whatever you want to say, because I guess we're winding down here, and you know what I mean? I think that you definitely have more to offer than what you've been, you know, expressed so far.
I don't know. I feel like you guys cover a lot of bases, though. I just don't talk when there's like nothing else necessary to say, I guess. I don't know. What is like the main, like, what do you think the point is of like everything now, since like your lifestyle and like the insight that you get and what you do with it? Like, how do you move with life now, and like for what reason?
Like, why do I keep going?
Yeah,
it's crazy, man. At this point, I just feel like it's almost like a roller coaster where it's like I committed and I can't get out because I'm midway through it, and it's like I just got to see this thing through to the end here, no matter how up and down and spiraling it goes. And like, I feel like ultimately what I've invested in it, I got to get that back or something equal to. It might not be, I guess, the ideal or the imagery that I have in my mind or nothing like that, but I feel like the energy, on the energetic level, it has to be equal to what I gave somehow. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly how I get it. I don't know if I'm going to get it in this body in this lifetime. I don't know if 2020 is going to take me out. You know, 2020 could probably legitimately take me out. I don't know. But if it doesn't, I feel like on the other side of these waves, it would have to be something really lovely, because I really don't feel like I operate from a place, and I have for a long time operated from a place of anger in my life, you know what I mean? And I feel like that has all really shifted for me over the years, in the past decade. And you know what I mean? Well, like 12 years ago going vegan and everything, it was really, I don't know, I feel like that my life was, that was kind of like the beginning of the ending for who I was, and or who I thought I was. And now I guess it really feels like every day I kind of don't have a choice in the things. Like I do, but like ultimately I kind of don't. It's kind of just like, all right, these are the things that I'm gonna do, and I can choose to do them peacefully, or I can just bitch about it, like, you know, and make it worse, kind of, because like it's ultimately gonna play out kind of the, you know, like the same way regardless. And I guess I get my little hints into the near future of like as far as how the day is gonna go out, but it just seems like every day I wake up, my body genuinely wants to do the breath work and everything, and it seems like the ripple from that first session sets the tone for the day, and it kind of creates like an overall like trajectory to where like I have control, but I don't. It just feels like I'm being like kind of carried or slung around by the breath. Like the breath is just like dragging my body, and I just feel like I don't really identify much with my body the same way I used to. Like I feel like I'm in it and everything, you know, and it's part of my being or whatever. But like it just feels like it's being pulled by this force or pushed by this force, however. And it's like it's just a wild thing to see, because I don't know, like at different points, especially on psychedelics, different points in breath sessions and different points on psychedelics, I really could step away from that identity of being this character, or character or whatever. I feel like that whole identity like kind of got dissolved to where my body, like as far as just getting closer in touch with the breath, like my body can't stop the breath. I made a house for it to where now it's like it pushes its way through me, and like it's kind of like the world is breathing, and I've committed so much to the breath that like it's just like too much pressure to where it's like I have to breathe. It's just like trying to keep a beach ball underwater or something. Like it will just push me, and I just notice it throughout the day now. I'm getting closer and closer in touch with that rhythm to where I can see the little times when I was being unconscious with my breath, and like how to kind of breathe consciously the entire day, but it doesn't feel like trying to. It just feels like a signal that goes off to where it's like, okay, now it's your turn, like to breathe. Like the universe is pretty much like, all right, you did your breath or whatever, or do your breath session. Now all of your daily unconscious breaths will just be that much better. And then it's like kind of like gradually becoming more and more conscious. Like the unconscious breaths are just becoming of better quality to where they're just so apparent now. Like when it's like almost like a boomerang thing. Like when I've gone, I guess, too far without the breath for enough steps in my day, it's like the breath just pushes its way through, and like it's like, I don't know, it just kind of like consumes me in a way, and I just feel like I'm on a rhythm or on a course, an algorithm or whatever, to where it doesn't feel like a choice anymore. But it's really reassuring a lot of the times, because it the perception of the oneness is so easy like that. It feels like that life is breathing me, like, you know what I mean, like it's making my body breathe. And I feel like it's nothing I can deny. So at this point I don't it's just like I signed up for this, you know. It's like I signed up for this, and I don't necessarily, I don't know if I want to get off the ship, you know what I mean? It doesn't really feel like I want to get off the ship or anything like that. It feels like I guess the right thing to do, or what makes sense right now. And every day, I guess, it's just a little bit more peaceful, and I guess accept the little challenges now of like controlling my anger or discontent with things. And I kind of just start looking at everything as like a challenge. Everything is a way to get better. Anytime, any moment in life that I have discontent with it, or life doesn't line up with my idea of what should be, I feel like I kind of have taken that as an opportunity to see life for what it is instead of what I think it should be. And it's always better anyway, kind of. Like, I always feel like my plan is my personal conscious intent, my personal conscious intentions, and the plans that come with that, they're cool or whatever, but they never really match up to the plan that I guess the truest me or truest identity has set out for me. So it's kind of dope because it's like creating the path as you walk it, and the mystery of it is dope. So it's like I just keep going with it. You know, you know, it's like you can't really know where you're going, but you ultimately, I guess, if you know where you came from, you know that that's kind of where you're going. So I feel like I guess I found a love for where I came from. I found, you know, I mean, I think that just comes with realizing where you come from. It's impossible not to love it. So it's kind of like every step forward is a step back, and it's a return. And I feel like it's just like, it's dope, man. Like, there's no way for me to even escape certain things. Like, if I have a smoothie or something, like, you know, I can't even do the things I used to do. Like, before, maybe at different periods, you know, I would want to neglect the breath, but now it's like, no, I filled the tank up. Now I gotta transmute this energy and fill the gaps in this food that was genetically engineered, you know, and all that. I gotta, you know, do this, and it's an enjoyable thing now. So it's like it's weird, kind of like a new identity that's like, it's always been there, but it's ineffable, so it's mysterious, so it's weird. I don't know what I mean. It's really like, I guess, a challenge of staying present, and I guess I accepted it. So I guess the long way to answer your question.
That's a good answer. My laptop is gonna die though, so I don't know what else I should ask.
So why do you keep going? And do you have any shots that you could fire, like things I need to do to change here? Because I honestly, you know what I mean, I'll take in I'll consider what you have to say. So, you know what I mean? Because you are basically another clone of me as well. Or I'm a clone of you, whatever.
Right. Hold up. Okay, so which question should I answer first?
Either one. I mean, you could critique me, or you could tell me why you keep going and don't eat a bullet and go on the bullet diet.
What? Okay. I guess kind of like you said, I don't really have a choice at this point, besides to keep going. I used to think I did, and I used to think I needed a reason to keep going as well, and I don't really have a reason anymore. It's just like the energy is here. I have the vessel. I get, like you said, glimpses of insight, or just things here and there, and like the reminders and what I do remember. It's enough to get me through the day. And like even when I visit like thought patterns of like thinking I can't continue on, or that I would rather not continue on, I just like, if that was the case, then I just wouldn't be here. Life would make it impossible for me to be here in this way. So I kind of, I guess, accept it as well, whatever it is. I don't know, but I'm having fun with it, I guess.
What would you like out of life, and I guess how far are you from that? Or, you know, if you're not far from it, I don't know. Either way.
I think, I don't know, I guess because like all the things that I thought I wanted at one point turned out to be things that I didn't want. So now I'm at a point where, like, for the most part, I have like everything that I want, like in mentally, at least, I guess, or like if I can visualize something that seems like a life that I would want, like just picturing it and playing it out that way is almost enough for me sometimes. And like, the main thing I want now, I guess, is stability, because I haven't fully given that to myself. So that's like what I'm working on, is being stable in some way, and like commitment to myself. And yeah, so stability and commitment is what I want, and that's what I'm trying to give at this point.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I mean, when you think of stability, what is that for you? Does it mean like like a steady income, or does it mean like a location?
I guess like just something consistent that I know I can go back to. So like, I guess in the long run that would be some just like location where like whatever my physical home is going to be in this life, because I'm kind of always on the go, or like leaving somewhere. And I feel like in the stage of my life right now, learning how to build and like keep it sturdy in any means, like if it's my emotional spectrum or whatever habits I have, it's just like important for me to get clear with that. And I'm in a personal like 6 year right now, so I'm just not living as carelessly anymore as like I thought that I wanted to at one point. I just feel calmer. Like I don't need as much chaos or like much like little things excite me. So it's like it's fun. It's not like I'm missing out. I used to think I was missing out on things, and now I'm like, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I guess you can't really miss what's for you, ultimately.
Right.
Yeah, but you know, damn. I guess that's desire. You just put desire into a nutshell. Then, I don't know. I guess we already talked about where things was going, and kind of where things, I guess, come from. So, I guess all it really is, you know what I mean? Like I said, you know what I mean? To critique things, you could hit me with your opinions on things or whatever. Say the things that all these motherfuckers want to say to me that, you know, that do happen to watch my shit or whatever, see my shit. You could take that shot for them right now. You know what I mean? I don't know. I really, you know, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't really like critiquing people. It seems so like, how can you tell someone to whatever? But I guess I would say that you do kind of push people away, but like, or there's like a resistance. I don't know. I feel like people kind of resist taking your message in too. There's probably a few factors with that, with just like the other people who are perceiving it. But I don't know. I wouldn't know how to critique that. Like, do you feel like you're aware of like the things that people probably have an issue with, and you just like know that's mostly their perception, or do you think like it takes two to tango?
I mean, I definitely am aware of the things that I say and do that are polarizing, you know, and I guess at some level it's kind of a gift and a curse where, you know, I know that, you know, I get what I give or whatever, and that I'll be taken care of the way that I take care. And, you know, not to really take shots at anybody, but if you can be like, I don't know, the guy Ellie Tom, you know what I mean, and have like 3 different women saying that you touched them against their will, and people still go to your seminars and still listen to what you have to say, I feel like it really doesn't matter like what you do. Life will kind of support you in some way or another. You know what I mean? Not to say that I ever do shit like that or ever want to do shit like that. I'm just saying that more so to be like, I know I'm taken care of in a lot of ways, and I'm in touch with, I guess, the intangible side of life, to where I have a connection there, and I know how the flow of my energy works and how things are going to come back to me. I guess in some ways it's a mystery, like I was saying, but yeah, I got a decent grasp on it, and I feel like that kind of, I guess, makes me have like that feeling of a luxury of being able to just say like, fuck it, I'm gonna say it, because I feel like I'm taken care of by life, and because I am life, and I feel like I might as well say it because this perspective, if it's holding its place in me, I might as well express it so that I can say it out loud and see how it feels when I express it. You know what I mean? So I don't have to think about it, and then and live with that, I guess, in a lot of ways. And I know it might set me apart from people, but at the same time, I guess that's what makes me and makes other people who they are, and I guess that's what kind of keeps the continuity of things going to where I don't sound like somebody else or something. I don't know. I know, like, as far as the resistance thing, I know what you mean as far as like the way I come off, not just the material itself. So I guess that's the way I'm perceived is probably something that I can't really control. Whether people think I'm great or terrible, it's not really anything that I have a say so in. I just have to just live, I guess, and just honor the moment and how things feel in my core, and move from there, from that place. And I feel like everything will take care of itself in a sense. But like, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? I get the, as far as like the way I keep people at a distance, because I guess in some level it's a more comfortable state for me, keeping people in that place. It's funny. I think about it like this too, like, do I need to learn how to be closer to people? You know what I mean? I guess I have an extreme balance, because I could be 6 months completely overwhelmed by people, and then 6 months in complete isolation, or a year of either or, and then rotate. So I always wonder, like, do I need to find a middle ground with that, or is it just the way that is my middle ground? Or like, and then on top of it too, like, do I create the walls and the boundaries that I create because I guess it would always come from fear, but it's like, do I need to learn how to have things that like are more tangible, and take care of them and enjoy them? You know what I mean? Because I always wondered that in my life, like, those things never really had an affinity with me, and I wonder if that's kind of the challenge, like for people that are like super concrete and tangible, it's kind of like, I guess, an apparent challenge for them to get in touch with the intangible and learn about the subtleties of life and not be so materialistic. And I always wonder, like, man, do I keep people away? Do I stay in this place where I know no one will come up here, because I'm avoiding learning how to be materialistic? You know what I mean? Like, and then I guess I've had different eras in my life where I was materialistic, and it's funny how the different phases kind of bled into each other, though, where like, if you watch some of my videos, they will come off as humble. If you watch other videos, they're going to probably come off as pompous. So people, I guess, depending on what they get, they'll get a different shade, even just throughout this 2.5 hour podcast, 3 hour podcast almost now, the people will probably see different shades of me. So, I guess I really don't have a definite form, but, I would like to be able to be more well received by people if possible. And then at the same time, it's kind of like, as long as I'm communicating with myself, or my body, my cells are all communicating clearly, I feel like the people that will receive me will be, me in a sense. And I don't think that, again, like, I can really miss what's for me or whatever, or avoid what's for me ultimately. You know what I mean? I feel like life has shown me plenty of times that, like, as much as I try to resist or do things and the things that are set out, certain things that are set out, they're gonna happen. Like, I had planned on going to Brazil from the end of this month till December, and obviously now everything's pushed back because of this shit. And even though they don't have a quarantine in Brazil, it's still like just funny how, like, it was like, I was like pandering, like wondering, like, man, should I go to Germany? Should I go to Brazil? Should I do these things? And then life was like, I always make the decision. I have the last laugh, you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, overlord me, you know? And I just always wonder that, like, am I, you know, am I trying to control too much? Am I not controlling enough? You know, it's a funny balance, I guess, there. But I definitely feel like at some level, yeah, the things that are truly meant for me to experience, I don't know if I can avoid them. I haven't been able to so far.
Right.
Yeah. Like, again, yeah, like I was saying to my brother, like, I don't know if he could have went his whole life without meeting the female he's with and having a child or whatever. I don't know if I could have went my whole life never having met you. I don't know if I could have gone my whole life not, you know, doing a bunch of things. I guess, you know, ultimately it's just like, I guess even when it boils down to my dog, I guess it's like, really, did I pick the dog, or was this really like life as a whole picking? You know what I mean? I don't know, and I can't call it, I guess, but it's a nice conversation.
Do you think, because I have this problem too, like keeping people at a distance, which for the most part I don't regret, but because like people are going to people, and like there's just so many things you have to deal with when you're dealing with just another person, and I just naturally keep my distance with like everyone. And a big part of that I know is because I kind of programmed myself to do that as a protection thing, but it gets in the way of like friendships, or like even with my family, where like I can see that it hurts them.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like I'm just saving everyone. Like, why mix things that don't necessarily need to like mix all the time, you know?
Yeah, I guess you gotta respect some things, and keep the oil with the oil and vinegar with the vinegar, I guess. It's just tough, because what I have realized in this whole process is that you evolve the more that you balance the polarities, or, you know, bring them to complement each other instead of a fight. It's like the greater the balance of yin and yang, the greater you evolve. You know what I mean? Whatever the experience is, or whatever it is, like, you know, I have a male dog and a female dog, and I got 4 dogs, you know what I mean? And it's just like, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Whatever your yin and yang balance is, or if you got a family, or if you're running a business and you're in a group, or you know, a team, like, I think that the more that you can balance yin and yang, the more that you will yield from life, and the more you grow. So it's tough, you know, because I guess I enjoy the creative process, whatever it may be, you know, whether it's writing or drawing or whatever it is. But I really feel like when you can do it, it's like pleasure shared is pleasure doubled in a lot of ways. And I'd be like damn, you know, it is kind of like that yearning to balance greater levels of yin and yang, because life seems to want to experience more and more growth, you know what I mean, in its various ways. So it's tough. It's tough to just like shut off that faucet and be like, you know what, no more people, no more this, no more that, and really be content with just balancing the yin and yang of my cells, my body. That's kind of, I guess, its own thing. But it's funny, like, the more I reduce and shed and everything, and, you know, the more sensitive my body becomes, I guess it kind of balances out, like, in some ways, like, where it's like a new balance of yin and yang, because there's a new me, and it's more intense and more sensitive. So I guess in its own ways it works out. But I just, you know, I've experienced it, you know, whether it be on a basketball team or whatever, when you see success from balancing the polarities in a complementary way. Like, you do grow a lot more. You do release a lot of false identity, and having experienced that is tough, and not really knowing where life's going to take me. It's kind of just a funny thing. Like, oh, I wonder where the next, massive balance of that is. And that's kind of why I thought I was going to go to Brazil, because that's one of those things I always do. Like every year, every other year, I go and play football and be with 100 people intimately, and then like have to do a whole massive balance. And then it creates like an imbalance in me. And then I need like a year off to, recalibrate, and then I do it again. But seemed like life was like, not this year. I don't know. So far, at least.
So is your plan like a no plan for now?
Yeah, I guess, you know what I mean? Because everything else is kind of rapey. It's kind of rapey to be like, I'm going to do what I want to do. Like, it's like, I would want life to open up for me and not have to jam it, you know what I mean? Like, I would like that, you know what I mean? That rapey vibe is not really my vibe, so, if I could get on an accord with life or with other people that are in this life or whatever, that'd be nice. But yeah, I mean, I have a loose plan, but ultimately, I just want to be as open and available and present for something that life could bring me that would be evolutionary, so that I could grow. And I just want to be available for that and do whatever I have to do to be available for that. And I think I guess that's my plan, to remain available. That's my plan.
That's a good plan.
Yeah. Because I feel like when I got shut off, when I just made it up in my mind that I was shut off from the world, it just made me miserable. Even if I am shut off from the world, I shouldn't probably think about that shit, being shut off all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you getting vaccinated?
Definitely not.
Applause. You know what I mean? Golf clap. But yeah, I think you on it, man. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely aware, so probably don't even have to say much. Like how it is always with you. Don't really have to say much. It's like, hey, you want to have a podcast? Even though we understand a lot of the same things to the same degrees, to where it makes it difficult to. There's like no liquidity to talk. There's no real contrast to talk. It's kind of just a lot of agreement, a lot of shared understanding. So it's a telepathic. It's telepathic. We
just validating myself through you, I guess.
Yeah, we talked a lot in this podcast, but they didn't hear it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, shit. I know you said your shit was gonna die, man. And I know we coming up on 3 hours now. So, glad I got to have your presence here for 3 hours. That's like a miracle in itself. So,
right? I'm amazed.
Miracles happen every day, guys. If we got her on, huh?
They really do. We opened some like weird portal here or something.
Yeah, this is definitely some kind of parallel universe or something. If we was able to open up the line of discussion this long, because you've been pretty much your name. You are pretty much a myth, and from my experience of knowing you or not knowing you, and yeah, you were like come up.
I'm like, what do people expect from me when my name is literally Maya? Like,
you just
I say it right from the beginning.
Yeah, you just got to leave that disclaimer in the beginning. Like, my name's, what's your name? Maya. Now, remember what the name is, okay? Later on, you remember what I said right now. I know you think you got my name, but did you really get it?
Right.
No, you are an elusive one, though. So, I'm glad we made some history.
I guess. But yeah, it was fun. Nick was fun.
Yeah,
It's
he's
a good
hilarious.
time.
Yeah. I guess just if you can make the slideshow, I don't know if you want to just upload some pictures or whatever and just shoot that to me. I guess I'll talk to you about that after this. But yeah, I guess just shoot that to me, man. 2020 Tantra, man. Info in the description. You know how it go.
Bye.
You want to know? Wait. You want to plug your shit?
No, I don't really have much to. I like when people just accidentally find my stuff. So.
Organic. Okay. All right. All right then. I'll talk to you then, man.
Bye. Bye.
Peace.